The road to $10,000 runs through the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is round number 11 of 18 on the NASCAR IRacing.com Series World Championship. We are getting ready for 100 laps at the famed Brickyard. Tim Terry, Joe Cortez, and Nim Cross here to call all the action for you. And gentlemen, we are in for a show this evening. We're down to we've been saying a 5-horse race. This is really a make-or-break round for two of our drivers in 4th and 5th in the standings. We've got 3 up in front that are looking to pull away and settle this one amongst themselves in the final 8 rounds of this season.
Tim, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is absolutely a cornerstone of American motorsports history. And tonight, we're going to have NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship history made here. 5 drivers enter with a very realistic chance as walking away champion tonight. After tonight's race, that field could very, very easily narrow, with 3 drivers only separated by 3 points, the rest being separated by about 30. This is going to be a make-or-break race for each of those 5 drivers we just mentioned, Tim. Not only that, this is also the most unique oval that these drivers are going to face all season. This is the only oval that's a quadrilateral. This is the only oval that has 2 short chutes. Each of these drivers are going to have to navigate. And at the end of it, this will be a testament of driver skill and how they're able to manage their cars as they go 100 laps around this mecca of American motorsports at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of that will depend on how they manage their pit strategy, which is when it goes to Nim Cross, who's going to be down there on pit road, figuring out what these guys do, Nim.
Yeah, one thing, these guys were given another curveball today too, as iRacing just released a new update today, and that will play into all the setups that these guys worked on all day. So they were scrambling all day long to fine-tune their setups and work on the cars on this track and get everything fine-tuned for this 250-mile race tonight.
And as we get ready to go racing, we're going to take you to the boys from Hot Laps, and they'll explain a little bit about this virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Hey guys, this is Steve Sheehan. We are at Indianapolis this week. This track has always proven difficulty for even the best of us. It's very difficult with this car. We are going to be yawing out a little bit. We're going to be wheeling it every single lap. It's going to be a really cool segment for me to do. So we're going to get right into it here. Now this track, everybody knows what it's shaped like by now, but 1 and 3 and 2 and 4, even though they are about the same type of corner, I'm going to drive them differently. You're going to see it in my car here. Go into turn 1, hard braking, bring the car below the white line to help it rotate. You're going to see me yaw out. This is how you drive this car here. It is a challenge. Go into turn 2. Very shallow entry. This is very much different than turn 4. You will see that. It's very forgiving coming off turn 2 here. I'm going to yaw the car out. I'm going to come off with a lot of speed and go all the way down the back straightaway. Very long straightaway. You're going to see a lot of passes going on here. Maybe some 3 and 4 wide action. Who knows? It depends on who hits the corner good and who messes it up. Going into turn 3, just like turn 1, kind of. Going to bring it all the way down below the white line. Going to come off as hard as you can. Turn 4, very dangerous, not forgiving whatsoever. You're going to see some passes get made off turn 4 as people either hit the wall or have to check up because they get loose. I'm going to come off turn 4, very solid lap, hit the line, and get ready for it. And that's it. Now, as I said, even though this track looks very, very similar from end to end, all these corners are different. Turns 1 and 3, kind of similar. Turns 2 and 4, they are nothing like each other. And this car handles totally different in all 4 corners. Turn 2 has traditionally been a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more high speed than turn 4. Turn 4, it just seems like the track is way skinnier coming off turn 4. You will see guys hitting the wall. Out of turn 2, you will see cars yawed out sideways and carrying a lot of speed. Turn 2 is definitely a driver's corner compared to turn 4. Turn 4 is very difficult. Turns 1 and 3, fairly simple. You just go in there, get on the brakes hard, get the left sides under the white line to help it rotate, and just basically try not to hit those rumble strips, because if you do hit those rumble strips carrying speed on the throttle, the car's going to want to spin right out as soon as the tires hit those rumble strips. So definitely not what we're looking to do. You're going to see guys get really close. You may see some guys stay above the white line, but definitely the best way to go around here is to get the car as low as possible to help it turn. A key feature about this track is pit entry and pit exit. They're both very difficult, and there's a certain way you can do it to actually gain a lot of time. Pit exit, I'm going to exit here, pretty solid exit. You're going to go around in third gear, and the car is really going to yaw out. One key thing is, when you're coming around that first turn on the flat, you can actually bring the car up a little bit to get a good arc into turn 2 while staying on the flat. Now the car is going to really feel like it wants to spin out. You may see some people hit the grass and have to check up a little bit, and that will hurt their time. I find holding third gear to be optimal until you're all the way around turn 2. You're going to see some guys pick up a lot of time coming out of pit road here if we have green flag pit stops, because they have practiced, they have done their homework on how to get through here really well with this car. Now pit entry is just as difficult. Turn 4 is difficult itself here. Now we have to come off turn 4 carrying as much speed as possible and yank the car down to the bottom without locking up the brakes, without spinning out. The car is already on the verge of spinning out. So I'm going to start braking, going to get down to 55, nice and solid. I'm going to lock up the front tires a little bit at the last second, but it's not going to really hurt me too much, and it's a very solid pit entry. But you know what, you are going to see probably at least one green flag pit stop tonight. You may see some tire strategy, but I will tell you this, for the first few corners on 2 right side tires and 2 worn left side tires, the car wants to spin out. You will see guys perhaps try it and fail miserably because of how difficult this car really is to drive on 2 fresh tires here tonight. So look for that. Look for some guys to save a lot of time by taking some chances in pit road. It all depends on how this race plays out. In 2 weeks, we are at New Hampshire, and that should prove to be a very fun race. It's always been a fun track, especially with these last couple of builds here at iRacing with this car, and I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of the drivers are, and hopefully we just get through tonight's race very well. This track is very difficult, not a favorite of mine, and hopefully we'll see you guys at New Hampshire in one piece.
So there's a little ride around the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we get ready to go racing here this evening. 100 laps in length, as the boys mentioned there. And we could be in for a race that could very well be a turning point when it comes to the championship. Let's take a brief look at those standings now. Without the one drop week in this series, Tyler Hudson leads over Nick Ottinger by 22. You got Ray Alfala back there, just 7 points behind. In position number 3, Brian Schoenberg, Marcus Lindsay, your top 5. When you factor in the one drop for that top 5, it's still the same order, but it tightens up a little bit. Tyler Hudson only has a 5-point lead over Nick Ottinger and only has a 6-point lead over Ray Alfala. If you're new to this series, each of these drivers gets one drop week. Essentially, they can take away their worst finish for their season and count their best 17 towards the championship, and the winner of that championship getting $10,000. So very key to not really have a bad run throughout the season, but if you have the one bad run, you can take that out of the championship equation. So, Joe, what are you thinking here now? We mentioned it that you have 5 drivers that have a shot. Brandon Cattell is 48 points back when you factor in that drop, so you can add him into the mix as well, but it seems like Schoenberg, Lindsay, and the rest of this top 10 really have to get going in this race to turn their season around to have a shot at the championship.
Tim, I think the big thing for me is track position and seeing where that top 3 sits in the starting grid. Ray Alfala, who led technically all but one lap last year at this very race, is going to sit on the pole. Nick Ottinger is going to sit 4th. Your current points leader, Tyler Hudson, he didn't take time. He's going to sit 35th on this field. So Tyler Hudson has to climb that ladder, but he's got a whole lot of talented drivers in front of him who are going to make him very difficult. Meanwhile, with Ray Alfala and Nick Ottinger starting right up front there, with those guys being the guys to beat right now, it very well wouldn't surprise me if by the end of tonight's race, we absolutely have a new points leader, and that's going to change the entire dynamic of the rest of the iRacing season.
Nim, we saw a new build come out this morning for the iRacing simulation. Essentially, if you're new to the iRacing simulation, we keep getting updates every quarter, I guess it is, and the new build unrolled this morning. Some of these drivers have to change a little bit on their setups to really adapt to the racetrack. It's essentially like if you have a rainstorm prior to a cup race or any sort of race, it washes all the rubber off the racetrack. Some of these drivers had to do a little bit of tweaking to their setups to get going this afternoon and this evening. What are these guys in for when we go racing at Indianapolis here in, about 2 minutes' time?
Yeah, well, they're all obviously pretty secretive about the adjustments they're making and the changes they're making, but this race will play into the hands of those who are or can adapt to the situation the best. And one thing about this track too, it will help you to start up front and have track position, because there are a lot of aero effects at this track, and it can be really hard to pass here. But with the changes that happened today, those drivers, they were working hard all day long with their teammates, out practicing, adjusting on their cars, and most of them got it dialed in pretty good. There was a bit of maybe about a half a second to a second on back for most drivers from front to rear. But I think right now you're going to see those drivers who adapt the best be up front for this race, and Ray Alfala starting on the pole.
And we'll go through some of those nuances as we go through the afternoon and the evening here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hats off to iRacing on their brand new build. 2 thumbs up from me. Your grid for this evening's racing action, it begins with Ray Alfala on the pole with a 49.019 to the outside. It's car number 12, Joey Brown.
In the inside of row number 2, it's not the Ford Focus, but the Focus Ford Fusion of Danny Hansen starting third. On the outside of him, the Rheem Chevrolet SS of Nick Ottinger starts fourth.
Row number 3 will find car number 5, Michael Conte, on the inside. Outside of him, car number 11, Brad Davies.
Tom Lewandowski rolls from position number 7 to the outside, 34, Matt Busa.
Marcus Lindsay, top one part of your top 5. We'll start on the inside of row number 5, and the number 1 machine outside of him, John Adams in the 84, starts 10th.
Starting 11th on the inside will be car number 55, Brian Schoenberg. Starting 12th on the outside of row number 6, Brandon Kettle in car number 80.
One of our Pro Series drivers making a start here this evening. It's the 4 of Brian Day, and to the outside, 39, Michael J. Johnson.
Alex Warren in the 82 machine starts 15th. On the outside of him, it'll be the banker from Brawley, Kevin King, starting 16th in the 29 Chevy SS.
Going 17th will be car number 42, Dylan Duvall. Outside of him, 18th, car number 60, Jason Karlovich.
You got Byron Daly starting the 93 from position 19, and Jake Sturgis 20th.
Row number 11 belongs to Carson McClellan. On the inside of the 24, Adam Gillen in the 81 starts outside.
Brandon Schmidt will go 23rd. 24th will be Russell Doucette.
They finished first and second the last time out. It's the brothers. Josh Lawton on the inside, your winner from Talladega in the 40, and to the outside, Chad Lawton in the 26.
Paul Kashiba starts on the inside of the 32 machine. He'll start 27th. On the outside of him, Brandon Bowie starts 28th in the 54.
29th will be car number 33 of Brian Blackford. Outside of him, car number 30, car in the 30th position, car from 157, Andrew Fash III.
Chad Coleman has not answered the call to the grid. He was supposed to start 31st. To the outside of him, Casey Malone.
Patrick Baldwin will start 33 in the 52 machine. Outside of him, Landon Harrison in the 89 starts 34th.
35th will be Tyler Hudson in car number 01. 36, Peter Bennett in car number 69. And starting last on the field, car number 91 in the 37th position will be Josh Berry.
Got a long way to go, but if there's a driver that can pull the feed, it would be Josh Berry. Watch him come from position number 37 this evening. We're getting ready to go green here this evening for the first of 100 laps. Ray Alfala, the 2-time and defending champion, and Joey Brown in the number 12 getting ready to go green. You see Chad Coleman there. He did not get on the grid. He will start the Hick and Jicks Ford from pit road. And he does have a penalty for something that he said 2 weeks ago at the Talladega Super 2A to another driver that the officials did not like. The first racing Ford Mustang pace car getting ready to head to the infield here, and Ray Alfala in the Pro Geek Consulting Ford getting ready to put the hammer down for the first of 100 laps. Pace car in, and Alfala in control, and he's going to put the hammer down here. Green flag flies, and we are underway at the Brickyard, and Joe, he's picking up where he left off the last time. He won last season at Indianapolis, led all but one lap, and that one lap was a glitch across the line, so Ray Alfala looking to add to that and possibly lead all 100 laps here this evening.
So as of right now, Ray Alpala has led 101 consecutive laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Looking to add to that right now. Joey Brown in no hurry to catch him. Battle is for third as Nick Ottinger high. Danny Hansen low. Danny Hansen's now going to tuck in behind him. But then there's Michael Conning and Thomas Wendowski, guys who have been hungry on this series. They're going to fall in right in line. Everybody knows the gravity of this race. It looks like everybody's going to fall in line and just try to keep it clean to start this race. All except for Brad Davies, who's stuck out up high right now, under fire from Matt Busa and company.
It's a long race. It can be an even longer race with a lot more cautions, especially early. Brian Schoenberg to the inside of John Adams as they go into corner number 1. They were 3 wide. It's back to 2 wide. Brandon Cattell trying to come through on the inside as well. Marcus Lindsay to the upside is Schoenberg being aggressive here a little bit early as he's got John Adams in front of him, and Brad Davies is going backwards in a hurry as he and Matt Busa were going at it, and Cattell throws a little bit of a block. Marcus Lindsay to the inside as they all jockey for position. Down the back straightaway and in to corner number 3, and looks like Brian Schoenberg trying to pick up a spot, but also Joe trying to defend from the number 80 and the number 1, Cattell and Lindsay.
Brian Schoenberg and Marcus Lindsay have the most to lose in tonight's race. If they don't have a solid finish, their chances at a championship and the $10,000 at Homestead Miami could come to a screeching halt tonight, and it could turn into an opportunity of better luck next season. Schoenberg does not want that to happen. Marcus Lindsay does not want that to happen. And even though he did lose some speed as a result of the block from Brandon Cattell, he's still right there in the midst of the group, and he wants a piece of that championship.
Michael Conti goes to the inside of Danny Hansen up in front as looks like Brad Davies is trying to also start to make his way back to the front of the field. He's underneath Matt Busa in the number 34 car. I know he's got a new sponsor, some new colors on that race car in the 34, but now he's going backwards as here comes John Adams in the 84 to the inside of Matt Busa. They will run down the front straightaway as Cattell gets a little bit sideways as Schoenberg goes down underneath Matt Busa, and that was nearly a wreck off corner number 4.
Brian Schoenberg currently being scored in 9th, and he's going to bring Brandon Cattell and Marcus Lindsay with him as well. Meanwhile, back up front, we have a new guy sitting in that second position. That's Nick Ottinger, who's currently sitting a time zone away from Ray Alpala. Alpala very comfortable out in the middle of trouble because we got trouble on track.
Trouble on the back straightaway. Matt Busa around in the 34. Dylan Duval, Alex Warren, Tyler Hudson. Your point leader goes backwards in this one as well. I'm not sure if the 01 hit anything, but it looks like the back straightaway is a parking lot right now. Jason Karlevich also involved. Peter Bennett in this one. Michael J. Johnson heavily tore up. Brandon Schmidt also involved. Maybe easier to say who wasn't involved in this one as the first caution flies, and it happened with Matt Busa and Brandon Cattell. Those two made contact in corner number 1, or coming out of corner number 2, I should say, and Matt Busa comes down the racetrack, gets into the 39, and then a calamity ensues. Rich Doucette involved, Byron Daly also involved, and there's a lot of heavy contact for some of those drivers. And Joe, I'm trying to get an eye on Tyler Hudson here. I don't think Tyler Hudson hit anything. I think he got a little bit of rear end contact from the 39 and Michael J. Johnson when he was trying to get going again. So he'll come down pit road, probably get some damage repaired. Not sure how that right rear corner is, but it's a very vulnerable corner on this race car if you do get contact to it.
Tim, I'm looking at the replay right now and looking at the 39 and the 01. There's at least a good 3 feet, a yard, if you will, or a meter for our friends in Canada. There's a good meter between them. So 01 may not have made contact after all with the 39, which keeps his chances alive, but he's still going to have to get 4 new tires on that machine, and that's going to cost him some track position on the restart.
So we'll see a lot of these drivers come down pit road and get those damage repaired. Some of them are a little bit worse for wear. Nim, what are you hearing from these teams down here with damage?
Well, a lot of cars. The 39 car, Michael J. Johnson, a heavy hit into the wall. A number of cars they're just still assessing their damage, trying to figure out what's going on and see if they can get their car fixed for the rest of this race.
Most of your leaders are staying out. Our first driver to come down pit road is Brian Schoenberg in the 55. He is leading down Adam Gilliland, Chad Lawton, Carson McClellan, Paul Kashiba, and then some drivers behind, including Byron Daly, who's dog tracking the Parker Kligerman Ford, as they come down to the attention of their crews. Nim, what are these guys saying about 10th on back, coming down for maybe some changes?
Yeah, remember we got that new build today, so a lot of guys that have new physics, they're just, they're out there on full tanks for the first time in the heat of competition. It's the number 4 car, Brian Day, misses his spot, and he'll have to back up a little bit. Number of cars down here assessing the damage on their cars after that incident. A couple other guys want to make an adjustment to their cars so they can get back out and be ready for green.
Nim mentioned that new build, Joe. Let's take an opportunity to go down some of the new nuances in this sim. And the Lotus 49, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is now in the sim. You have figure 8 racing at Irwindale. You have lights at Lanier. You have realistic weather. You can race in the fog. You can race in overcast. You can race with wind. The list goes on and on of the improvements that iRacing made in this build. And my hat's off to Tony Gardner and the whole crew over there, because they did an absolutely fantastic job with this brand new build. And some of course, innovations continuing with the cars, with the racetracks. They keep up on that. And it just goes to show why iRacing is one of the best, or not one of the best stock car simulations, and of course on the road side as well, your road racing simulation as well. So it just goes to show that iRacing always on top of everything. And if you haven't had the opportunity to get on iRacing and check out this new build yet, you've got to do so as well. Nim, down on pit road, what's going on?
Well, we got a couple updates on a couple of drivers. Matt Busa's car, they got about 30 seconds of optional damage to fix. What that means is that he does have about 30 seconds of damage on his car, and that'll be good at this track because the pace laps are pretty long in this track, so with 30 seconds of damage, he'll be able to fix that car. Michael J. Johnson, that team has at least 15 minutes of total damage to repair. They have a long night ahead of them and a lot of work to do. He said the car is junk, and they just have to, they just have a lot to do before they're going to get back on the track.
And that really is a shame when you have absolutely no control of what happens there, when you have no control of the incidents around you, and you're just along for the ride and get 15 minutes of damage. That's not a position you want to be in. That's a very unfortunate position for that team. I know they had high hopes tonight, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Nim Cross has another update.
Alex Warren down here on pit road, that team going hard work on his car. He's got 2 minutes of required damage to fix, and then he's got another 30 seconds of optional damage to fix. So a lot of work on that car with 2 minutes of damage. It's going to be close to whether they can get that out without losing a lap.
So we got a lot of exciting changes going on back there with some of those teams in the back with the action that we saw on that first caution flag. We'll see some of those drivers try to come back to the front of the field. Your point leader, Tyler Hudson, involved in that wreck. He is right now being scored in position number 20, right behind Josh Berry, who started dead last on this field just 7 laps ago. He started 37th, and now with everybody in front of him, either pitting, making some adjustments, he's all the way up to position number 19. And looking at the drivers that did come down pit road, he must have come down pit road as well. So not bad for the 91 car, Josh Berry, making his way up to position number 19 already in this event. And Joe, one of the other things we might see here this evening when we come down onto pit road, one of the new changes in the build, the cones move now as well. So if you come down and you clip that commitment cone well enough, we're going to see that baby move when they come down onto pit road.
You know, looking in practice, that was one of the things that really entertained me. iRacing.com is always striving to create a very real experience for each one of their drivers out here, for every one of the fans who want to get behind a Sprint Cup quality car. And now with the addition of that commitment cone, with the fact that you can just tap it and send it halfway across the track, that adds just a little bit more reality to this simulation. With everything they do, iRacing always striving to make it just a little bit more real, and I'm going to be really entertained to see who's going to be the first one who clips that cone. Tim, who's your money on?
I don't think you can really pick anybody. It's going to be tight, especially coming onto pit road here. We usually see a green flag run in this race, and you'll see a lot of those guys really push that envelope coming down into pit road when we come down to get those green flag pit stops done and out of the way. So it's going to be difficult to To predict one of those guys there, Joe, Ray Alfala and Nick Ottinger side by side. We're getting ready to go back to green. We'll have 8 laps completed when we take the green silk. Joey Brown, Danny Hansen, and Michael Conti complete your top 5 with Lewandowski, Davies, Adams, Cattell, and Lindsay top 10.
And right now you're seeing the replay of that incident right now here on PSR TV. As you see, it's a matter of real estate. I don't know if there's anything more I can say than that. It's a matter of how everybody kind of got together at the wrong place at the wrong time, and next thing you know, a lot of cars are around, a lot of bent sheet metals out there, and in the case of Michael J. Johnson, wrong place, wrong time sends him in the pits for quite a while, if not the rest of the race. It wouldn't surprise me, especially towards the end, with everybody jockeying for position, watching that real estate narrow up and having 2 or 3 of those incidents happen just like that later on in tonight's race.
Yeah, you look at the way those drivers were racing, you could almost see that coming with those guys the way they were racing. Brandon Cattell is going to be in position number 9 right now as he and a couple of others were going at it for those positions. And you see some at the back of the pack not being able to join us for the restart. Rich Doucette, Jake Sturgis. Actually, Rich Doucette, the only driver, it looks like, out of the race right now. Everybody else either on pit road or at the back of this field. The first racing Ford Mustang pace car is getting ready to head to pit road here with Ray Alfala in command. He's led every lap so far. But what does Nick Ottinger and the Ream Chevrolet have for the Pro Geek Consulting Ford? Pace car in, and Ray Alfala is gone already. Green flag flies, and here comes Joey Brown with a little help from Mike Conti getting going. Conti's teammate to the outside of him, Danny Hansen, in the Focus Eyewear Ford as they go down into corner number 1.
Nick Ottinger squarely holds second, Joey Brown third, Michael Conti fourth. Battles now for around the 7th position as the 11, the 16, and the 84 all battling back and forth. That's going to be Thomas Lewandowski on the outside of John Adams. John Adams will pick up a position if he can complete the pass. He's got some help from the 80 of Brandon Cattell. Marcus Lindsay, Brian Schoenberg. These 2 guys with the most to lose, they haven't hooked up yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if they start getting nose to tail and start trying to make their way up front.
Mike Conti picks up a quick position at position number 4. Check that 3 as he moves past Joey Brown and Danny Hansen at a corner number 4 down the front straightaway. It's Schoenberg and Lindsay side by side, and here comes Kevin King with Chad Lawton going at it. This is just outside the top 10 at position, number 10 as it comes across the board now. Schoenberg, Lindsay, King, and Lawton going at it. They get single file for now, and look who's making his way up into the fray as well. Driver we haven't talked a whole lot about this season, Casey Malone in the 92.
Nick Ottinger continues to hold second. Michael Conti, though, not going to be happy with sitting in third. He wants to get the second. Goes way to the inside. Not going to happen. He can't make the pass. He will go back to position number 3. Meanwhile, the 84, John Adams, he's getting a little impatient. He gets around the 11 effortlessly. Now here comes the 80 of Brandon Cattell. He's going to try to make the move as well. The 11, Brad Davies, stuck on the high line by himself, and that might open the door for several other cars, including Lewandowski, Schoenberg, and Marcus Lindsay. Kevin King not running with any of these guys right now. I think he's just quietly running his own race and letting everything happen the way it does.
Keep in mind your 11, 16, and 55 are teammates. Behind them, we have the 1 and 29 of Kevin King. Those 2 drivers as well, Joe, are teammates.
Those drivers are teammates, so they are going to work together to a certain extent. But when it comes to push, when push comes to shove, when we're on lap 95, I think you're going to see the team dynamic go out the window, and it's going to be every driver for himself.
Up in front, it's the 2 of Ray Alfala by 7/10 of a second. Top 6 or 7 or so, Joe, are single file. Brandon Cattell under fire from Brad Davies, and behind them they fan out down the front straightaway. Lewandowski, Schoenberg, Marcus Lindsay in the 1, and Kevin King looks back there from that position, which would be 12th place right now. It seems like everybody for the time being getting single file, Joe, and trying to pick off their positions as they can. They can possibly feel a long green flag run coming here as we work lap number 12 of 100. Down the back straightaway we go for the Ray Alfala and Nick Ottinger camp as they go into corner number 3. They scatter around 10th.
Battle now for that 14th position. Casey Malone will give it up to Josh Berry. Josh Berry picks it up with ease. And now the 40 of Josh Lawton going to try to pick up position as well. Jason Karlavich down there. He wants to get position. The 92 going to yield away 3 positions out there. So the 92 machine of Casey Malone struggling just a little bit. He might not have the partners he needs to stay competitive out here. Tim, we talk a lot about the draft when we go super speedway racing. We're not seeing that. We're seeing that draft now become very important here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, especially on those long stretches, the front stretch and the back stretch. Speaking of guys who are working hard out there, Tyler Hudson, who started at the back of this field, he's now up to 18th, and he wants to pick up position on the 92 as well.
Down the back straightaway on lap number 13 as Brian Schoenberg goes for a spot. I believe that was on Marcus Lindsay. Caught that out of the corner of my eye as they were going at it for the spot, as Marcus Lindsay tries to put a move on the 55 car. Continuing up front, it's Ray Alfala and Nick Ottinger, your top 2. Here goes Marcus Lindsay once again down to the inside line as Schoenberg, as Chad Lawton and the 29 of Kevin King went at it as well. And Nim, I don't know if you're hearing anything but possibly overheating issues, but these guys seem to be fanning out down that front straightaway. Could it be to get a little more air to the nose?
I think what's going on here is maybe with the new build or whatever, but the cars are able to run closer to each other in the corners, and that's allowing them to get runs at each other going down the straightaway. So they're ducking in and out, and they're able to make challenges for those positions on each other down these long straightaways. So if somebody gets a little bit messed up in one of the corners, that gets a whole train of cars behind them going after them down the straightaways. But it looks to me like they're able to close up really close to each other in the corners, which allows them to challenge down the straightaways.
Marcus Lindsay had a huge run that last lap by on Brian Schoenberg down the back straightaway, and Schoenberg threw the block on the number 1 of Marcus Lindsay. And Joe, it was close between those two. Schoenberg gets to keep the spot for the time being on Marcus Lindsay, but you'd have to think, if I'm driving, well, they're both sponsored by Oboto Gaming Cockpits. I was about to say, if I'm the driver of the number 1 car, you might remember that from the 55 as he goes underneath Tom Lewandowski to try to pick up a spot here, and Lewandowski might be going backwards not only 1 spot but 2, because here comes Marcus Lindsay in the 1.
Schoenberg, Lindsay working to get around Lewandowski. Kevin King giving him just a little bit pushes. The 55 gets real sideways. 3 wide now going into the next turn. Marcus Lindsay picks up the position, and he stands alone. Schoenberg, after getting sideways, coming off turn 3 into turn 4, he's going to give away a lot of positions out there. Drops from 10th to 13th out there. Marcus Lindsay and Brian Schoenberg very cognizant of the situation they're in tonight. They have to place or go home. And in this case, I guarantee you, both those drivers want and need to place.
Yeah, they still got a long way to do it, though. We're only on lap number 16 of 100. As your field works down the back straightaway, Kevin King in the 29, looking underneath Thomas Lewandowski in the 16. 16 going to take that spot into corner number 3. 29 not able to get there going in to the 3rd corner as Ray Alfala up in front. Quick check, he continues to lead by about a half second over Nick Ottinger. So that's stabilized once again. It seems like Ottinger continues to kind of knock off a little bit on that number 2, just not enough to close in and take the lead. 55 is Schoenberg underneath the number 26 of Chad Lawton. That is for 12.
Tim, and Lewandowski right now is doing a very good job of what they tell rookies of running your own. The advice tell rookies, run your own race. Make it work for you. Find the line that works and work it as best you can. Lewandowski right now really putting on a clinic on running your own race. He's been able to fight off several different passes out there, and now he's still sitting very pretty in 10th. Lewandowski right now fighting for a position, not necessarily to win the championship, but to get the invite back next year. There's only a limited number of drivers that are guaranteed a spot in the 2014 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and the better Lewandowski can place now, the better his odds are of making it to the next season.
This time by, we are going to complete lap number 17 and go to lap number 18 of 100. It's Ray Alfala by 4/10 over Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti, John Adams, and Danny Hansen. Your top 5. I know we got a couple of webcams here this evening. We got a new one in Landon Harrison, but I want to focus on John Adams in the number 84 right now as he runs down the back straightaway. really been rejuvenated here the last couple of weeks with Adams, as he's got back into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship after taking a few weeks off. When you look at it, he had a job, he had some other things that he had to focus on, Joe, but now he's back in the series. He's likely going to be in that NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series when we go racing in that during the off-season for the big show. But John Adams trying to get a little bit of momentum heading into that season, and he's running well here this evening with his Hammer Down Motorsports team in position number 4.
And as we look back through the field, Landon Harrison currently sitting in 26. Another driver in the Hickenchicks Chevrolet. That's one of our featured webcam drivers tonight, showing a lot of stout out there in the middle of the field. The race is not won on lap 19. It's won on lap 100. And Landon Harrison right now, again, running his own race, kind of running in traffic right now, making it work for him. Just a reminder, any of these drivers at any given time can show up with their webcams and be featured right here on PSR TV and MotorRacingNetwork.com. All you need is a webcam to show up, and you never really know who's going to show up week in, week out, Tim.
And our third webcam driver, Byron Daly, and the Parker Kligerman Bandit Chippers Ford right now running 2 laps down after that incident in the first caution. He runs in position number 33. Ray Alfala might have some company here within the next 5 laps or so as Nick Ottinger begins to close in a little bit more. He's got 0.3 of a second between himself and your second place driver. Conti, Adams, and Danny Hansen continue to complete your top 5, and Hansen, Joe, might have his hands full in the next few laps as well as Joey Brown is there.
So the battle start to heat up right now as there's only 0.3 of a second between Alfala and Ottinger. Conti and Adams now starting to get close, and Danny Hansen, Joey Brown, Brad Davies starting to get together to see if they can challenge to work their way up front. But right now, the streak is on the line as Alfala only about 4 car lengths in front of Nick Ottinger as they continue to go battle back and forth. Conti, Adams, Hansen trying to figure out what they need to do to get a chance at that spot up front. But something that's worrying all these guys right now, pit stops are coming up, and they're not going to wait for any driver out there.
Down the back straightaway on lap number 21 of 100, these drivers continue to click off laps, and it looks like we might have a battle for third on our hands very soon as well as John Adams begins to close in a little bit more on Mike Conti in the number 5 as the 84 about a half second or so behind and continues to close each and every lap. Balance of your top 10, Joey Brown, Brad Davies in 7th, Brandon Cattell in 8th, Marcus Lindsay and Tom Lewandowski complete your top 10 as we work on lap number 22. Just behind them, Joe, it looks like everybody for the most part biding their time right now. A lot of single file racing, quick passes being made, but this race right now has the look of a green flag run to it.
And green flag runs are not a bad thing, especially for the competitors and for the fans. This is where you really start seeing strategies start to build up and everything start to play out. Like Kevin King setting himself up now for the pass on the 16 of Thomas Lewandowski. He's going to make the pass clean, so Kevin King breaks into the top 10 for the first time tonight. Now Brian Schoenberg looking for the opportunity there. He sees a door opening. He's going to pull up to the 16, but once again gets loose. Now he's going to duck low, try to make a pass, or at least set himself up for turns 1 and 2. Will he have enough clout? Let's see as they get ready to go into turn 1. Not going to happen. Schoenberg needs some help out there, and it looks like he might need to make an adjustment because coming off of the turns 2 and 4, he looks very, very loose out there.
And looking at those 4 drivers battling right now, Joe, you see the 16 and 55. Those are teammates, or they have a technical alliance between those 2 teams. And then you have the 29 and 26 working together as well. So I'm sure the 16 and 55 have a little bit of communication between each other to figure out what they're doing on the racetrack. So keep an eye on that as they continue to battle. It might look like they are battling a little bit hard here on lap number 23, but I'm sure they have it under control when it comes to the communication between the teams. Just in front of them, it looks like they're fanning out down the front straightaway with Marcus Lindsay trying to pick up a couple of spots on Brandon Cattell. Alex Warren right now runs in position number 36, 17 laps down, and Nim Cross is down in his pit.
Alex has pulled it behind the wall here. Alex says that the car is way too damaged. They can't get it fixed. And they're parking it for the race, for the night, and going on to the next race.
Tough break for Alex Warren, as he's one of those drivers that is trying to claw his way back up into the fray for the top 20 to lock himself in to the next season, currently 31st in the point standings heading into this evening. Joe, that's one thing he did not need, is another bad finish.
No, at this point you cannot afford having those bad finishes this late in the season. Every position counts. Every finish counts. And if you are not able to get up there and be able to perform week in, week out, you may have to find your way back through the Pro Series and ultimately earn your way back to race, to have the privilege of racing in the World Championship Series. Meanwhile, Marcus Lindsay, a quiet climber so far, has found his way up to 8th, and he's only a few car lengths behind the 12th of Joey Brown. Joey Brown, cognizant of it, starts to go low to try to throw the block. Marcus Lindsay, though, he's hunting, and he's hunting in a big way.
As we mentioned off the top of the show, 5th place in the point standings, and a top 10 run here, or a top 5 run, could go a very long way to at least getting maybe a top 3 in the standings if he can catch the top 3 in the standings. But Nick Ottinger, Ray Alfala running in the top 2 spots right now, with Alfala leading Ottinger. Tyler Hudson is having one of those nights that it seems like he has every night we race. Tyler Hudson has yet to win a points race in this series, Joe, and we're used to seeing him run about mid-pack, sometimes even near the back of the pack in the early stages of this race. But he's like Kevin Harvick. He's like the closer. He keeps coming up, and at the end of the race, you'll see him in the top 5 or in the top 10 when we throw the checkered flag. So right now, Tyler Hudson running 17th. I wouldn't put a whole lot of thought into that one right now, because it's lap number 26, not lap number 96. And just behind them, it looks like push comes to shove a little bit around the 3 of Brandon Schmidt, the 52 of Pat Baldwin, and the 4 of Brian Day. I might have to keep a half eye on this battle, Joe, as the 52 stuck in the middle as he tried to make a move there, and it got exciting there that last lap.
Jokers to the left, clowns in the right, and here we are stuck in the middle with Patrick Baldwin as he tries to figure out where he's going to go. Brian Day behind him in the 4 car, currently sitting position number 22. You know, is when these guys are able to run single file and run in a pack, they can get a lot of speed going between them. And when they can get that speed out there, they're able to start making some moves. So if these guys can run in line and run consistently in line, it wouldn't surprise me to see them make a move to start moving towards mid-pack later on in this race.
New top 5 driver in Brad Davies in the number 11. Davies has moved past Danny Hansen in the 20 to put Danny back to position number 6. And now here comes Marcus Lindsay down to the inside of Joey Brown in the 20. Flashes the nose again on the number 11 of Davies. Nothing doing there as they go into corner number 1 and the 12 of Joey Brown pitched it in on Danny Hansen. Watch the Barley Electrical number 12 as he works on the Focus Eyewear Ford going down into corner number 2. They'll run down the back straightaway. We are on lap number 28 of 100.
Right now, my eyes on the 93 machine. That's the Parker Kligerman Band of Chippers Ford of Byron Daly. He's getting it sideways coming off of turn 2 and 4, not unlike Brian Schoenberg right now. He looks like he's oversteering a little bit and then dirt tracking it off each of the corners to try to make it work for him. So Byron Daly trying something different out here, but at position 32 as he gets around the 42 of Dylan Duvall, he can make it work and see what he needs to do to keep that car fast.
Yeah, with what the cards that he's dealt right now, you can see that car going down the back straightaway. The rear end is pointed out a little bit to the right farther than the front end is. Still a lot of damage to that number 93 car. And Nim mentioned it on these cautions. These cautions are long. You can get a lot of that damage repaired, but it appears that Byron Daly still has a lot of damage to repair to that number 93 car as he sits 2 laps down right now in position number 33. Back up front, it's still a half second between your top 2. John Adams still holding down position number 3, or has taken position number 3 from Mike Conti. So move Adams in these last couple of laps up to position number 3. Brad Davies, as we mentioned, moved to 5th and is pulled away by about a car length or so over the 20 of Danny Hansen. He's got about 2 seconds to catch position number 4 as Marcus Lindsay once again takes a peek to the inside. Looks like he's got the front wheels there. He's to the inside. He picks up the spot on Joey Brown to move Marcus Lindsay up to position number 7.
Marcus Lindsay, as we mentioned in 5th, he's got a lot to lose out here tonight. As I've said this probably 100 times now, but he's got to make it up front. He's got to get a big finish tonight. If he can't win, he needs to at least be in the top 5. He needs to be in the top 3 if he wants to have a realistic shot at $10,000. The good news for him is they are very solidly in 5th right now. So even though they are not, may not be in position at the end of this race, they still have a very realistic chance to either win some iRacing credit or maybe even a little bit of cash at the end of the season. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I believe it's the top 5 that get paid out in cash.
A little bit past than that. I know in the past it's been the top 10. It might be the top 12 this year, but we'll have to double check and be sure on that. But it's a little bit past the top 5 for at least iRacing credit or cash from this season. And of course the top 3 get the trophies. Your winner goes down to Homestead Miami Speedway to pick up the check in front of the crowd for the Ford 400 weekend and the finale for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So pretty big payday for the winner of this series as we continue to go at it around this racetrack throughout the top 10. Couple of quick battles as it looks like Michael J. Johnson coming back down to pit road here, or at least on the access road. He's currently 6 laps down to your leader, Ray Alfala, who is being chased by Nick Ottinger, John Adams, Michael Conti, and Brad Davies, your top 5. And here comes the 1 of Marcus Lindsay, peaking on the 12 of Joey Brown, and that is a swap for a position as Brown just went by Lindsay on the outside line to pick up position number 7. And now here comes Brown hunting the number 20 of Danny Hansen on lap number 32. The Focus Eyewear Ford trying to hold off the number 12. Just behind them, Kevin King is getting a little bit racy on Brandon Cattell.
Tim, just to give you an idea of how much of a difference there is right now between the guys running mid-pack, top 10, top 15, and your leader right now at the top of the front stretch and back stretch. Marcus Lindsay's topping out right now at about 202, 203 miles per hour. At the top of the front and back stretch, Ray Alfala, your leader, he's topping out at about 207, 208. I don't know what they have underneath the hood of that number 2 machine, but it is right now way in front of everybody else. It's going to be everyone else who wants to get a piece of them is going to have a really hard time catching up to him. That number 2 looks like a rocket sled on rails right now.
But it's still early. You might see a guy like Marcus Lindsay or Danny Hansen back there just outside the top 5 be saving a little bit in their race car to get to the end of the race and have something for Ray Alfala, Nick Ottinger, John Adams, rest of the field. Keep in mind, we are looking at a long green flag run right now, and these drivers setting up for pit stops and maybe pushing their car. If you're outside the top 5, maybe pushing it a little bit harder than you should just to see what the car can do, and then come onto pit road, make your adjustments, and then maybe change your driving style a little bit to try to save a little bit on this second run. As we go down into corner number 1 and top 2, Alfala and Ottinger continue to run, and it seems like every lap Ottinger gains, Joe. He loses a little bit in the next couple of laps. It's been between about 4 and 5/10 of a second between your top 2 on this run as we work lap 34.
Ray Alfala continues to run by himself. Ottinger second, and then there's a time zone between your top 2 and John Adams currently running in third, over 2.5 seconds between your top 2 and the rest, and the third place challenger, front nose to tail, about 25 seconds between the entire field out here. And Nim, this is where I look to you and your expertise out here as the number 2 now makes it down pit road. Nim, I was going to ask you the question. Now the only question I'm asking is, what is Ray Alfala looking for on pit road?
Well, his car is set up really good. Obviously, he's pulling away from the field, so I would suspect that if they do make any adjustment, it'll be a very minor one. 4 tires and fuel will probably be all they're looking for.
And the 2 of Alfala going to head down, and this is the first lap that he has not led at Indianapolis, given that 1 extra lap that he did not lead last year in about 135 laps. As caution flag is out as Alfala comes down to pit road and stops in his box, and this changes everything. Nim, what'd you see to bring out this caution flag?
Yeah, going down in corner number 1, the 33 car of Brian Blackford got hit by the car behind, which looks to be the 32 car of Paul Kashiba. and 52 car on the inside, but the 52 car Kashiba hits Blackford going down in the corner number 1. That sent Blackford headlong nose first up into the turn 1 wall, and he spin around, contacted again with the outside of the car, but it does seem to be a single car incident. This will be a good break for Ray Alfala, because he will get back out before everybody else makes a pit stop, and he'll be able to stay out while they all make their pit stop, and he'll become our race leader after pit stop cycle.
And that's a tough break for the Snow Cone Productions 33 of Brian Blackford. And Joe, I'm not sure what Paul Kashiba was thinking there.
Neither am I. You know, and this is the type racing I was talking about earlier in the race. When you have a very little amount of real estate that everyone's fighting for, that's when things are going to get real weird for these guys, and they're going to be fighting for position out there, and that's exactly what you saw there. Two guys trying to occupy the same spot, and it just doesn't work that way. One ends up in the wall.
We call that in short track racing, racing past your hood pins, and I don't think Paul Kashiba did that there. He's a legend car driver. He should know a little bit better than that. Tough break for Brian Blackford, though. He's the guy that ends up crumpled up. He'll come on to pit road and see what he can salvage out of that Snow Cone Productions number 33 car. Been a tough season for Blackford. He missed a few races at the start of the year, and then he gets into a couple of incidents. I believe he got suspended once for incidents earlier in the season as well. So it hasn't gone Blackford's way this year. Veteran of the series may have to qualify through that Pro Series in order to get back to the big dance next year. Wholesale pit stops. Here comes Nick Ottinger, John Adams, Michael Conti, Brad Davies, Danny Hansen, and it looks like, Nim, the rest of your field, possibly besides maybe Ray Alfala and a couple of cars that are going to stay out that are going to try to get their lap back.
Yeah, a lot of cars are going to stay out, or the lap down cars, they'll stay out, but everybody on the lead lap, they're headed down pit road. They're going to be taking 4 tires of fuel after that long green flag run, making any adjustments that they can. If they were loose, they might tighten up the car a little bit, use some wedge or maybe some tire pressures. If they were tight, they're going to loosen the car up, take some wedge out of the car, and adjust some tire pressures maybe on the right side. So they will be making those adjustments on this pit stop, hoping for a good long green flag run after this.
So we will race off pit road here. Nick Ottinger in the 05 will win the race off pit road. Michael Conti, Brad Davies, John Adams, and Danny Hansen, your top 5. It appears John Adams is the big loser off pit road, losing a couple spots. But it is Ray Alfala staying out on the racetrack. He will resume your lead when we go back racing in just a few laps' time. We're going to step away, go grab a drink, go grab some popcorn. This is going to be good. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR IRacing. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Lap number 39 being worked on the board. Wave rounds just happened. Ray Alfala is your leader with Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti, Brad Davies, John Adams, your top 5 off pit road. Nim, a tough incident for Brian Blackford there, and I know you got an update on the 33.
Yeah, Blackford, they don't have a lot of damage that they have to repair, but they do have a lot of optional damage to repair. They got about 11 minutes worth of damage that they're going to need to be repaired, and they'll be able to work that damage on pit road as the pace car goes around. They can leave and come back in. So they have a lot of optional damage to repair, and the car is very kind of towed out right now. So they'll have to do a lot of work to get that damage fixed.
Thanks for the update, Nim. Taking a look now at the slow-mo replay of the battle off pit road. Nick Ottinger really slammed that is a slam dunk for his crew on that pit stop. The number 5, Michael Conti, second. And then here's the real battle right here. The number 84 of John Adams, barely getting in front of Danny Hansen. Not even a car length between them as they get off pit road. Kevin King up in the mix right there. And I think, the biggest losers in this pit stop, Marcus Lindsay, Joey Brown, definitely hurt a little bit out there. Lindsay in 6th, Joey Brown 7th, and then there's Brian Schoenberg, who actually picked up a lot of position. He restarts 10th on this field as they line up double file. The guys who know they need to do something, they're trying to get themselves in position to do it on this next green flag run.
Pace car in, Ray Alfala about to put the hammer down, bring him down a little bit slower than he did before. There he goes, green flag flies. The 5 of Mike Conti, watch him as he goes underneath the 05 of Nick Ottinger. The 11 of Brad Davies has freed himself from 5th on back. Danny Hansen now has to play a little bit of defense as the 5 goes underneath the 05, and the 11 going to try to follow him through as well. Brad Davies going to try to push to position number 3 behind Conti.
Michael Conti takes away second in convincing fashion. Then there's Brad Davies in 3rd. Nick Ottinger with nowhere to go. He's stuck on the outside. Caution's out.
157 of Andrew Fash, the 3rd around out of corner number 2. And Nim, I don't know if he had any help or not, but I just saw that car dart towards the infield.
Yeah, it looks like they're going through corner number 2 and possibly had a little bit of contact with the 81 car down there down the inside. Maybe a little bit of latency involved with that, but it looked to be a little bit of contact. He did a long slide, 90 degrees to the wall through corner number 2, just barely touched the outside wall before spinning across the track coming out of 2.
Looking far back at this replay here, and Adam goes into corner number 1, no contact with the 157, and I don't think there's any contact here. Adam pitches it in, and there might have been a little bit of slight contact there, but it's tough to call. Adam looked like he might have made a late charge into the corner there, but that's for the officials to decide, Joe. Each of these your incidents are reviewed, and if it happens a couple laps, or I believe it's 5 laps after a restart, then those incidents have a little more weight. If you get a certain amount of incident points from the review panel, you don't race the next week. So the review panel is going to have to look at that one there and find out who is at fault, whether it is the 157 of Fayash or the 81 of Adam Gilliland.
Yeah, that's going to be a really tough to call. Incident to call. From my perspective, it looks like the 157 and 81 didn't necessarily make contact. That the 157 was just in the wrong place in the wrong time and drove it a little bit too hard, trying to make the pass on the outside. But that being said, this is why we have a review panel. These guys, it's their job, it's their professional job to look at each of these incidents and figure out what happened and where the blame needs to go, which in itself is really a driver developmental tool, because each of these drivers then will be able to say, okay, maybe I misjudged that, maybe I wasn't right in that one, I can take that, and now I can learn from it for my next race and the next race on after that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there with those, and I know Adam Gilliland is one of those drivers, and Nim, you've seen it here on the service before. Adam is one of those, should we say, excitable drivers that can get a little bit excited when there's something around him and some accidents happen.
Yeah, he's a very young guy. He's he's matured a lot over the last few years on the service, and become a very, very, very good driver on the service. Obviously, making it up to the top echelon here at the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. But he's very young, definitely excitable, and he'll have to learn to control that to make it to some of these wins in these races.
And speaking about some excitable figures, some up-and-coming drivers, looking at some of the up-and-coming drivers, the pro drivers having to qualify through the Class A Series for the 2013-14 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. The second season just wrapped up on the iRacing service, and we have a couple of new graduates into that series. And, of course, this is all unofficial until the results come out from the iRacing.com committees and everybody looks at everything. But it looks like Brandon Hawk will win the Class A championship this year, and he'll come out ahead of Simon Crochart, and he's a driver that used to be a iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series driver, the World Championship over on the roadside. So congratulations to him to make the oval transition. Randy Hockaday, Nick Morse, Benjamin Burmeister, Brody Kostecki, Tom Mustakas, Charlie Foster, Ashley Miller, and I believe Stephen Gilbert at least will be moving up unless something happens. Of course, we mentioned all unofficial, and maybe a couple more back there. Sasha Wessler, Kwame Adij is back there as well, and I know Mitchell Hunt is sitting there, possibly on the bubble. He might have to come back and qualify through the other series, but once we have the official word on that, we'll let you know in 2 weeks' time. But there's a list there, Joe, of some drivers that I'm sure we're going to be calling their names next season in this series. Stephen Gilbert, a former NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship driver. We mentioned Simon Crochart being a World Championship Grand Prix Series driver. Randy Hockaday has been a sim racer for years and years. Benjamin Burmeister was in the Pro Series last year. And then you look at a guy like Brody Kostecki. Kostecki, the iRacing Indianapolis 500 top split winner from this season, which we covered here on PSR TV, and also a real racing driver in the UARA Stars Series, and does some K&N East racing as well. So there's a lot of names on that list. And then you look at guys like Dylan Duvall, Brian Day, who's in this race as well, Brandon Bowie. There is a huge list of drivers that are going to be in that Pro Series, that is going to make that Pro Series in 2013-14 just absolutely delightful to watch.
Well, Timmy, and you also mentioned it right there. A lot of these guys are guys who have real track experience, who do go in, every week or every other week or twice a month to race their real car around. So they're going to bring that real-world experience and that real-world intuition onto the track with them. Guys like Brody Kostecki, who I had a chance to meet when I went to the UARA Stars race at Hickory Motor Speedway not too long ago. A very delightful man from down under. I look forward to watching him race and seeing what he's able to do and contribute in future races here on iRacing.com. A lot of quality drivers, a lot of drivers with real experience coming to this sim. It's going to be a very, very interesting class, and it's going to be really shaken up next year when we go racing for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in 2014. Note being handed to me by the officials, Tim. How do I say this? You might be at fault for that last incident, and I don't know why.
I'm not going to touch that, but the one thing I want to add is when you look at this series, top 20 locked themselves in to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in 2014. We need to stress that. Your top 20 in points. Then you're going to have guys outside the top 20, which means we have 30 more transferees into that Pro Series. That's the one place they don't want to go, but they're going to end up there anyway. It's going to be tough to work your way into this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship through that Pro Series. You thought last season was tough. You're going to have a lot of drivers that didn't have the luck that they wanted to in this series this year go into that Pro Series. It's going to be something to watch, as Byron Daly is going to be receiving your free pass on this caution flag, and this may put Byron back on the lead lap. Actually, he might still be one lap down when we look at it back in 33rd place. So Byron's, at this point right now, is the only driver one lap down if that's where he scored. So Daly will look to get back on the lead lap. And Nim, it looks like that car is still dog tracking a little bit. It looks like he might still have a little bit of damage to repair in the 93 car.
Yeah, he's able to get around pretty good, though, with the damage that he has. I believe they have it as fixed as they're going to be able to fix it. And he's got it as much as he's going to do. But I've been watching some laps that he's been doing, and he's been out there running good laps, actually even running in front of a couple other cars. So he'll be able to put some laps in and, salvage what he can out of this race. And if we have one of those races at the end where... we have a lot of incidents at the end of the race, he might be able to pick up a lot more spots.
Down the back straightaway, we begin to double up. It'll be Ray Alfala to the outside, or the inside, Mike Conti to the outside of Ray Alfala. Then you'll have Brad Davies and Nick Ottinger, Danny Hansen completing your top 5. And there is a driver that hasn't been to victory lane in a while. Brad Davies in the number 11 car. We'll see what he can do and try to get this thing to the front of the field, possibly win a race here in this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in the 2013 season. Alfala in the number 2 has won one race this season, uncharacteristic for him. I'm sure he wants a couple more in the win column, as Ottinger is having a little bit of connection issue to the server on the outside line. Looks like that has resolved itself as the pace car is in, and here comes the 2 of Ray Alfala. When's he going to put the hammer down? Conti anticipating. There goes the 2. Green flag flies, and we're back underway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we come across the air to bricks. 44 complete.
And once again, Alfala shoots out like a bullet from a rifle. He's got at least 3 car lengths between him and Conti. Brad Davies in 3rd. Nick Ottinger now has a unique challenge in front of him he hasn't faced so far tonight. He's got to get back to traffic to get up to 2nd and ultimately try to get up to 1st and win this race. Ottinger, now stuck in traffic, may not be able to do it as they've got some 3-wide traffic back there. The 12, 29, and 26 all trying to do battle. 29 wins that round.
Yeah, Kevin King's going to win it for the time being as Brandon Cattell nearly got into the 26 as Chad Lawton checked up on that inside line. They have Tom Lewandowski behind them and Joey Brown on the outside. And don't look now, here comes Tyler Hudson up in position number 15 and looking for just a little bit more in the 8 assigned wraps Ford Fusion as they all scurry in front of them, try to pick up a couple of spots. Lewandowski on the inside of Joey Brown, and he will take that spot away. And here comes Hudson in the 01. Almost a little bit of contact between the 12 and the 01. Josh Berry going to try to follow through the 01 as well, with Josh Lawton and Jason Karlavage also there as well. It seems like these restarts are a little bit hectic. Lots of a sense of urgency to try to pick up these spots real quick.
Tim, this is what you're talking about earlier about Tyler Hudson, kind of being the closer out there, kind of being the quiet driver. He's worked his way from the back of the field, now currently in 14th. So don't count him out just yet. He still might have something to say out there, but time is running out. We're nearing the halfway point on the race tonight, and if he doesn't start making a move, he might find the sands of the hourglass running out very, very rapidly on him.
Yeah, he's still got a long way, though. This is a 250-mile race. We're coming up on the halfway mark in about 3.5 laps time. So he's still got a long way to go. I'm sure he's saving something. Still got at least one pit stop to take care of as well. And one of those pit stops might very well happen under the green flag, as we've seen this race shape up. We almost saw green flag pit stops on the first run if it wasn't for that caution flag to come out. Alfala continues to lead by 2 lengths over Conti. Davies under fire from Nick Ottinger in the 05, the Ream Chevrolet on the back bumper. The 11 and the 11 and 05 almost make contact off the corner. Ottinger has to drive it down to the inside, and I believe the 11 might give the 05 the spot here.
Great save by Ottinger. He's able to salvage his run, and he makes the pass cleanly, although not by a whole lot. Nick Ottinger move him up to position number 3. Brad Davies back to position number 4, and now he's got to catch up to Michael Conti, who's holding his own with Ray Alfala right now. Again, still about a 3 car length difference between the 2 and the 5 right now in time. That breaks down to about 2/10 of a second between Alfala and Michael Conti.
As they work through the short chute in 3 and 4, it's close racing between your top 10 right now. The 84 and the 20 played a little bit of a game there down the back straightaway that last time by, as the 5-05 fan out down the front. Marcus Lindsay down there as well, trying to get a little bit of air to the nose by the looks of it, going into corner number 1 here now. Your top 8 or so are running single file. You can throw a blanket over them all the way back to Brian Schoenberg in the 55 car, who is the caboose on this train right now. They work up out of corner number 2, lap number 49 being worked on the board, with Alfala continuing to lead. Conti, Ottinger, Davies, Adams, Hansen, and Lindsay as they get a little excited up around the 4th place position. Adams is now chasing Brad Davies.
And meanwhile, back at the end of this caboose, there's Brian Schoenberg and Marcus Lindsay in 8th and 7th, respectively. I would have surprised me to see these guys do what they're doing now, to be honest with you. I figured they would be in a lot more of a hurry to try to get up front. Marcus Lindsay now ducking on the inside. The 20's of Danny Hansen going to follow him as well. These guys don't seem to be in a huge hurry right now. They seem just to be running their own race back there and biding their time. How much time do they really have to bide, though, now that we're almost halfway through the race?
84 of John Adams on the back bumper. The 11 of Brad Davies. Looks like he's pouring a little more pressure on the number 11 as the 20 and 1 cars fan out behind them. Danny Hansen and Marcus Lindsay get back to single file going down into corner number 3, but John Adams has relinquished a little bit of the pressure that he was putting on the 11 of Davies. They'll come through corner number 4 this time by. They'll come up to the halfway signal this time by. Cross flags, 50 down and at 50 to go for Ray Alfala, Mike Conti, Nick Ottinger, and the rest of this field. We have 32 drivers running on the lead lap right now. Jake Sturgis is 2 laps down. Michael J. Johnson 9 laps down. And everybody else in the race retired. Blackford, Warren, and Doucette all out of the race right now of your 37 starters on this field. At the halfway point, Alfala continues to lead by 0.3 of a second.
Alfala shows no signs of slowing down right now as he continues his dominance over the race. Next interesting battle right now is around the 20th, 21st position as Paul Kashiba fighting off Brian Day in the middle of traffic. The rest of these guys, for the most part, single file all the way through the field. It looks like everybody's getting hunkered down for another long green flag run as they get ready to continue running out here, hopefully with not very many more incidents.
Paul Kashiba is side by side with Brian Day in the number 4. Brian Day is one of those Pro Series drivers that you'll see in that Pro Series. He moves underneath Kashiba to try to pick up a spot. Kashiba will let him have it just behind them. Brandon Schmidt and Pat Baldwin. Seems like they've had a magnet on each other all race long as Schmidt and Baldwin go side by side with Schmidt to the outside. Now here comes Busa in the 34 car. Busa going to look to the inside as well.
As they continue to battle right there, the 05 machine has finally found his way back up to the second position. Nick Ottinger gets around Michael Conti, and he will pick up that second position once more. The biggest winner, though, Ray Alfala, as he now has almost half a second on the guys challenging for his lead.
And the 84, John Adams, will finally pick up that spot on Brad Davies to move the 84 up to position number 4, and Brad Davies back to position number 5. Going to be exciting to see if John Adams is holding anything back in the Mud Jug Portable Spittoons number 84 in this second half of the race. John Adams is a driver that usually runs well at racetracks like Indianapolis. He's won at Pocono before. He runs well at these big racetracks that have a little bit of character to them, unlike a Daytona or a Talladega where you put the foot down and really don't have to let up a whole lot, with, of course, a little bit of the drive with a little bit of the two-car tango that we have in this iRacing service. But he likes these big tracks, Joe, with a little bit of character to them, as he looks at Mike Conti for position number 3 down the front straightaway. He goes high, and Conti, I think, is going to let him have it here.
Conti might be trying something out here. He might be playing a little bit of conservation out here on the field, though I'm not exactly sure why he would want to play conservation. The biggest idea I have is to try to save that fuel and minimize his time down on pit road when everything comes to an end later on in this race. Now you see Conti throwing the block a little bit there on Brad Davies, pushing him down the hill, trying to make him work for that position. So Michael Conti trying out a very different strategy out here. I'm very curious to see how it plays out for him at the end of the race.
If the way they're driving is any indication, they might not make it to the end of the race because there's a lot of blocking going on there, and some of those drivers are teammates or have technical alliances, I guess you can call them, between teams. J-Show Motorsports, the 5 and the 20 car you see in this pack here, and then Drill Isle with the number 11 of Brad Davies. So there's a little bit of that technical alliance there, but Joe, if they continue to race that hard on lap number 55 and something goes wrong, a slip of the bumper goes the wrong way, and those guys might end up in the trailer before the race is over as they fan out down the back straightaway again. We are working lap number 55. We'll come up this time and have 45 laps to go. Ottinger begins to reel in Ray Alfaro a little bit. We'll see if he can do anything with the number 2. On the first green flag run that we had, the gap stabilized between 4 and 5 car lengths or so, as the number 32 car of Paul Kashiba is having some issues back there as well. It looks like Paul Kashiba has left the server in the number 32 car.
Paul Kashiba no longer on track. Not exactly sure what exactly happened to him. We'll have to try to get back. Jake Sturgis looks like he's also having trouble out there on the field as well. So two cars well, not necessarily eliminated, but off the track right now. We will have to try to find out what exactly happened to them and see if they can get back on pit road and back to on the track to see if they can at least salvage something tonight. Good news though for the guys who are several laps back, like Brian Blackford and company, they might be able to get some laps back.
One of Tyler Hudson has just made up a spot as he passes Joey Brown. Brown is stuck to the outside as Jason Karlavich will take the spot. And here comes Josh Lawton in the number 40 as the 12 got up into the fence off corner number 4 in a close call for the TC's Custom Diecast, number 40 of Josh Lawton. Ray Alfaro continues to lead with Nick Ottinger, John Adams, your top 3. Looks like that 10th place battle, or just around that 10th place battle, seems to be the closest battle on the racetrack. Kevin King and Chad Lawton going for 9th. Tom Lewandowski, Brandon Cattell going for 11th and 12th. And then you have that little gaggle back there that we saw, Joe. Josh Lawton trying to push his way to the front of the field and back up that win 2 weeks ago.
And then there's Tyler Hudson, 0-1 machine. He's picked up another position, was in 14th. This time around, he will move up to 13th position out there on the field. Tyler Hudson continues to bide his time, but considering the 4 guys that are challenging for his lead out there are all running within the top 8, how much longer can you wait if you're Tyler Hudson? More importantly, how much help is he getting out there as he seems to be running on a silo? The only guy near him is Jason Karlavich in the 60, and Karlavich looks like he's hungry to try to get around him.
Karlavich is looking at the 01 down the back straightaway on lap number 58 of 100, as here goes Josh Berry as well, looking at the 12 of Joey Brown down the back straightaway. Nothing doing there as they get back to single file formation. And that's exactly what it is, Joe, clicking off some quick passes and trying to set your sights on the driver in front of you. As it looks like throughout about your top 10 or so, not a whole lot of passing going on. You'll see some of those drivers duck the nose out, try to get some clean air, and maybe try to fake out the driver that is in front of them in that battle. But status quo up in front between Alfaro, Ottinger, Adams, Conti, Davies, your top 5.
Well, I understand your top 8 right now are just running to play conservation, to play defense out there a little bit, if you will. These guys are just running as best they can, running in line, letting everything happen, and not jeopardizing where they need to be at the end of this race. Although it wouldn't surprise me if you start seeing some heavy battles start to develop here, in about 15, maybe even 20 laps. This thing is going to get crazy, and I wouldn't want to be one of these drivers when it does.
Currently 31 drivers on the lead lap. Paul Kashiba is now, he's still in the pits, 6 laps down, pushed it behind the wall. Nim, has the team said anything about the 32 car when he came down pit road?
No, I haven't heard anything at all. We'll have to make our way down and see if we can find out something.
So that's the 32 of Paul Kashiba, 32nd place right now. Those drivers that are still on the racetrack, Joe, picking up some spots include Jake Sturgis and Michael J. Johnson, so it looks like they will be able to pick up one more spot apiece at least with Kashiba. Out of the race right now is the Tyler Hudson 01 machine, trying to hold off Jason Karlavage, and I believe they'll come up on Jake Sturgis, who is currently 6 laps down right now. We're checked that 7 laps down. He'll pass Paul Kashiba on this next lap.
And I'm going to ask a question to Nim Cross real quick, our technical expert here in the booth. Nim, these guys have been running very hard out here. How many more pit stops do they need in order to make it the rest of this race at any given moment? And more importantly, when they do come down pit road, are we looking at any tire changes?
Well, when we come down pit road, we'll definitely be looking for tire changes. But right now, we are right at the window to where they could stop now and make it to the rest of the race. Everybody's definitely needs one more stop. Except maybe the 41 car who was disconnected and just got back into the race. But everybody on the track who's in contention definitely needs one more stop. They, right around now, we saw the 2 car of Alfala. He made his first pit stop on his first stint around lap 35, so he might have to go a couple more laps. But everybody's looking at the window where they can pit now and or within a lap or 2 and make it to the end of the race.
So it'll be exciting to see when they do come down pit road and make that final stop of the evening. And we mentioned it, try to charge pit road, try to get as much as you can into the pit entry. It's a long pit road here. You got to get down to pit speed and make sure you don't lose any time whatsoever on pit road, especially with this field of drivers. One small mistake could mean many positions and many points on this racetrack, especially if you're Ottinger and Alfala battling for a championship with Tyler Hudson. Coming into this race, we mentioned that with that drop race, Joe, it's Nick Ottinger only leading by 1 point over Ray Alfala for second place, and they're only 5 points behind Tyler Hudson. As it stands right now, it looks like Ray Alfala could very well leapfrog those two and put himself in the point lead when we factor in that drop race.
When we factor in that drop race, everything changes. You're absolutely right, Tim. And what makes it even crazier for each of these guys is some of them have already used their drop race. I know Ray Alfala has used his drop race. Nick Ottinger, I think he's had a couple pretty poor races out there, so he's probably already used that as well. So these guys are now every position is critical for each of these drivers. Every position means points won and points lost. They don't have time to play around with that drop anymore. They don't get another mulligan. It's all or nothing for your top 5 right now.
And when you look at it, Ray Alfala finished second to last a couple weeks back when we went to, or I should say a couple weeks back, our first race at Daytona. And we saw Ray Alfala struggle at the start of the year. And we said, what's wrong with Ray Alfala? Why isn't he up front like he usually is? And then he starts to remind us why he is a 2-time champion. He starts reeling off some finishes up within the top 5, grabs the win that he did earlier in the season, and now we sit at round number 11, and he is well within the championship hunt. And that's the one thing, though, Joe. Right now, as it stands, he can't really afford another bad race, nor can Nick Ottinger. Tyler Hudson, his low drop right now for Hudson is 25 points compared to Ottinger's 8 and Ray Alfala's 2. Hudson can't afford a bad race. He can't afford to be consistently back outside the top 10 with the way that Alfala and Ottinger are running. He can afford one bad race per se, but he can't make it a habit, if that makes any sense.
Tyler Hudson back in 14th right now, currently running behind Jason Karlavage, who's running that very special skin on his Aboto Gaming Cockpit Chevy SS right now. Tyler Hudson, he needs to find a way to get up front, and it might just be a matter of biding his time. He might be biding for pit stops. With pit stops coming up in about 5 to 10 laps, he might be getting ready to make his move after that happens. He might be playing conservation mode right now. It's hard to tell, but Tyler Hudson, he's been a consistent name in this series, and even if he doesn't find a way to win here tonight, if he doesn't find a way to win the championship, I've got a feeling he's going to be a name we're going to be talking about for a while to come yet.
The drivers that or the driver that is really making a whole lot of time here is the 84 of John Adams, consistently faster the last 5 laps than Ray Alfala and Nick Ottinger. He has closed in to 0.8 of a second of your top 2. and it looks like Adams has come to party here in the closing stages of this race. Just behind them, Marcus Lindsay went down almost into the grass as he looked at Danny Hansen for position number 6, and Brad Davies in the number 11, who's currently scored in position number 5. But Joe, the man on the move right now is the 84 of John Adams. He might have something to say about this before this race is over.
John Adams is a man with a mission right now. He's less than a second behind Ray Alfalla. He's less than half a second behind Nick Ottinger after that lap. So John Adams is a man on the move right now. He's starting to move his mug jug Chevy to up front, try to make it work for him. And I think after pit stops, once he's got 4 brand new sticker tires on his machine, he's going to have a whole lot more to go out there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to drive it out there like there's nothing left to lose.
This battle back here around position number 5 is quite entertaining to watch, especially coming off of corner number 2. It seems like Danny Hansen and Marcus Lindsay go down to the inside. They're not close enough to really throw a block to make that move stick, but it's quite entertaining to see the 1 and the 20 car go to the inside. They keep doing it, and they're a little bit closer like they do here as Alfalla is onto pit road. Your leader coming onto pit road here on lap number 67. We'll get back to that battle in a second. Nim Cross down on pit road. This should be Ray Alfalla's final stop, shouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely his final stop as he heads down pit road here. They'll definitely want to be taking 4 tires, make any adjustments that they might have on that car, and they might be considering some adjustments as Ottinger and John Adams were closing in there, but they have to be quick because with Adams and Ottinger out on the track making laps, the leader after this round of pit stops is going to be determined by who makes it in and off of pit road the fastest. So right in, he gets his 4 tires and fuel, and he's off and away.
05 car of Ottinger stays out, but here comes John Adams onto pit road. Nim's going to be busy because he's got a lot of them coming down. Danny Hansen spins, and there goes the cone at the end of pit road. No, he didn't hit it. The 20 car spins onto the racetrack, and that should bring out the yellow flag here on lap number 68 with a couple of his friends on pit road, Lindsay, Conti, Adams, and now Nim. Do these guys stop since they're on pit road?
Well, I would say that they do. They're the leaders. They'll definitely stop and be able to get back out in the track before they go a lap down. When everybody else has to pit under yellow, they'll be able to stay on the track and get back out and stay out and be at the front of the field again. So as with the last caution flag that Ray was on pit road on, these guys actually catch a break by being on pit road when this caution flag comes out, as we saw John Adams have to back up in his pit stall there just a little bit when he made his stop, so he's going to lose a little bit of time. But everybody who made their pit stop will be in front of everybody else when it's all sorted out.
The one question mark I'm looking at right now, as I'm sure we're queuing up a replay of the wreck, is Joey Brown coming onto pit road. You'll see Danny Hansen spin to bring out the caution flag, and then you'll see Joey Brown, back there coming onto pit road. The caution is well out when he hits the commitment line. I'm not sure if that will be a penalty for entering a closed pit or not, but Joe, he's definitely hit the commitment line after the caution flag comes out and the pace car's already been dispatched. So we'll have to watch and see what happens to the 12 car.
Well, it's a very precarious situation because then it becomes a matter of at what point did he know? At what point did he make the move? At what point did that happen? So we'll have to let that be sorted out by the race officials and see what they have to say. Meanwhile, 05 Nick Ottinger leading a contingency down pit road to Nim Cross.
Yeah, Chad Lofton has also said that he's got a black flag for coming down pit road at that time. So the officials are trying to sort that out right now, and they'll determine whether they had plenty of time to see it or not. So a lot of cars down here on pit road right now. Everybody getting 4 tires of fuel. This will be the last stop for all these cars to go green the rest of the way.
We'll have to look at the replay, and I'm looking at Chad Lawton right now. Danny Hansen's already spinning. The caution flag comes out, and it's a little bit closer on Chad Lawton because Lawton is coming down to pit road. He's got a little bit of... He's already on the brakes, Joe, coming down into pit road is Chad Lawton when the caution flag comes out. I'm looking back here for Joey Brown, and Joey Brown, when the caution flag comes out, is coming off corner number 4. So it's easy to call when you're up here, Joe. It's pretty cut and dry to me. The 12 car had plenty of time to react because he was coming off of turn 4. There was no commitment there. The Chad Lawton deal might be a little bit closer. He was on the brakes coming down into pit road when that caution flag comes out. It's a good thing that those guys next door to us, Shannon Whitmore and the crew, pretty busy over there looking over everything and seeing who's in the right and who's in the wrong.
Now, Joey Brown did appeal to Shannon and the officials team. He did type in his chat, got black flag. Caution came out right before I crossed commitment cone, so it looked like he was asking for a little leniency there. No word yet if they're going to give it to him. We'll have to see what exactly they do when we come back.
Let's take a quick break here, and we'll come back to some more racing action here on PSR TV, the Motor Racing Network, and iRacing Live. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we work caution, getting ready to go back to green here in just a few moments' time, as it appears that Jake Sturgis is your free pass recipient. So Sturgis will get one of his laps back. It looks like he's 7 back now in position number 32. 31 drivers on the lead lap here as we get ready to go back to the green flag, as John Adams in the 84 scored as your leader. Adams has he's been strong here, Joe. One of the strongest drivers coming to the caution flag on that long green flag run. The 84 might have something for these boys.
He might very well want to see what John Adams can do in the closing session of tonight's race. Meanwhile, just got a note handed to me from Race Control. Both Lawton and Brown, according to Race Control, had enough time to correct and stay on track. Therefore, they were both ruled as entering a closed pit. You're absolutely right, Tim. They had enough time to react. They had enough time to see the lights come on and hear from their spotters. Caution is out, so they will both be penalized for entering a closed pit. They will be at the end of the longest line. Tough break for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can look at maybe a picture-in-picture, but it's pretty clear when I usually go by in the sim when the pace car lights come on top of the pace car as to when the caution flag comes out. Pretty good indication, Joe, as to when the caution flag is triggered. And you look at that, Chad Lawton's a little bit closer. Chad Lawton's about 3 or 4 car lengths away from that line. It comes down to this, essentially. You can yank the car back onto the racetrack. It might get a little bit loose. You might end up wrecking the race car. Or you can come down across that line and take your black flag. It's a tough situation, but it's a split-second decision. Now, Joey Brown's coming off of corner number 4. And then he comes onto pit road. A spotter must have been out eating ice cream or something, Joe, because that's pretty cut and dry to me. He had plenty of time to avoid that black flag, and he'll have to come down and serve that one. Good call on the official standpoint there as we get ready to go back to green on lap number 72, or the completion of 72. It's John Adams leading Marcus Lindsay, Michael Conti, Ray Alfala. This will be the most traffic he's had to deal with this evening, Joe. He's going to restart in 4th, and Nick Ottinger completes your top 5.
And look at this top 5, this top 6 that we have now. John Adams is 1st, Marcus Lindsay 2nd, Ray Alfala 4th, Nick Ottinger 5th, Brian Schoenberg 6th. The 4 that would be king now within 6 positions of each other, each of them battling hard for that position. The man who's currently king, Tyler Hudson, he's going to restart all the way back in 12th, so once again, he's going to have to figure out what he needs to do in the closing 28 laps of this race in order to make it work and try to keep his fragile lead on the points lead.
Both the drivers on the front row have one win to their credit in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Can they make it to? About to see the green here. Adams brings him down slow. Here he goes. Green flag flies and brings him down slow. It checks up a lot of guys mid-pack. And we're lucky we didn't see a caution flag there, as some of those drivers swapped a little bit of paint, as it looks like they'll get down to corner number 1 a little bit cleaner than they did on the start.
A man who had a little bit of problems on the restart looked like it was Ray Alfala. He drops from 3rd to 4th behind Michael Conti and Marcus Lindsay out there. Meanwhile, behind them is a 55 Brian Schoenberg in 5th and Nick Ottinger in 6th. These guys are not going to go quietly into that good night. 55 and 05 doing battle back and forth. They're going to be blocking each other hard. I hope those two do not make contact with each other, because if they do, expect some fireworks.
Brandon Cattell picked up a spot in the number 80 car. That's going to move him up to position number 7. Peter Bennett is trying to pick his way through the field as Hudson and Karlavich swamp a little paint down the front straightaway. Watch your 60 and 01 as they go down the front straightaway into corner number 1. The 01 of Hudson and the 60 of Karlavich not giving each other an inch. And Karlavich and Hudson swapped a little bit of paint down that front straightaway, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. It still might be a lot worse than it was, as Karlavich is going to slide into line behind Hudson. I don't know if there was any more contact before that. Joe is behind them. We got a big wreck. We got Carson McClellan around. We got the 91 of Josh Berry involved. And there's probably about 6 others or so down here. Byron Daly, Joey Brown, Chad Coleman, Chad Lawton involved, Casey Malone, Jake Sturgis, among others involved in this one. Danny Hansen may have got a piece of it. I know he slowed down there as well. Caution flag will fly.
The 92 of Casey Malone made heavy contact in the wall after getting a little love there from the 91 machine. He will spin like a top into the middle of traffic, and that's going to involve a lot of cars out here on the track. The big one has happened at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Casey Malone at the front end of all of it. Heavy damage on this machine. I don't expect to be him to be back on track tonight.
It almost looks like the wreck with the 81 of Gilliland, as Gilliland went a little bit hard into the corner and went a little bit late into the corner, tried to make that move, and it almost looks like Barry almost did the same thing in the speed code number 91 as he went down into the corner on the number 92 of Casey Malone, and those two make contact, and heavy contact into the fence for the number 92 car. Chad Lawton gets a little bit of contact with the safer barrier on the inside, and indeed Danny Hansen gets a lot of contact on the outside wall, and he gets a little bit of the 12 as well as they were going through there. He might have got Carson McClellan when he was slowing down to the Focus Eyewear car as well. There's a lot of heavy hits in that one there, and that will put some drivers probably in pit lane for a extended stay, at least, as we work lap number 75. We'll have a restart with less than 25 laps to go, and John Adams will once again be in command.
So as Nim Cross is off to say, what wasn't bent or what isn't bent is now bent on the field for a lot of drivers out here. And as I just watched this replay, that safer barrier in real life would have saved Casey Malone. That being said, it also hurt a lot of drivers out there and their chances of having a big run tonight.
And there was a lot of fakes being thrown onto pit road, and that cone is an object now, and it's a good thing nobody hit it. A lot of those drivers avoided that cone at the end of pit road, the commitment line, commitment cone coming onto pit road. Adams, Lindsay, Conti, Alfala, Schoenberg, your top 5, with Ottinger, Brandon Cattell, Kevin King, Tom Lewandowski, and Brad Davies your top 10. We mentioned drivers that really need to go. Brandon Cattell is 48 points with that one drop behind your top driver right now in the series, Tyler Hudson. He's a rookie in this series per se, Joe. First time in this series this season. So it's been a great run for Brandon Cattell, but whatever championship hopes that he has left, he really needs to get going here right now in position number 7, putting up a great run. Nim, I know you have some updates down there on pit road with some of those drivers that were involved.
Yeah, remember Joey Brown had to serve that penalty. He got caught up in that wreck being back in the field. He's got some heavy wheel damage to that car. The crew working right now to get that car, to get the wheel damage fixed on that car. Casey Malone, his car is heavy damage to the front of that car. His motor's done, and he's out of the race for the evening.
A tough break for Casey Malone in the number 92 car, as there was a lot of damage to a lot of those race cars back there, Joe. There was a lot of contenders. Joey Brown, as Nim mentioned, had to serve that penalty, as did Chad Lawton. They both got caught up in that incident. But this is the opportunity, this is a time now where we'll see a lot of restarts, I'm sure, Joe. There'll be a lot of opportunities for these drivers to really pick up some quick spots, and that could lead to a few cautions when you see these drivers going that little bit harder to pick up the positions. But as we mentioned before, these drivers, when it comes to the incident review panel at the end of the race, these incidents after the restarts are looked at a little bit harsher. So I'm sure that's in the back of these drivers' minds. But right now, it's all about trying to pick up some positions and getting to the front of the field and getting to the end of the race with your car in one piece.
And one of those guys who's going to be in a great position to do that is current points leader Tyler Hudson in the 0-1 machine. He will restart on the inside. Why is that exciting? Because that inside line seems to have a little bit better jump on the restarts than the outside lane. Everybody tries to come back into the inside to run single file and catch that draft, especially through the short chutes and the turns. So Tyler Hudson's going to have a fast track in on that one, and he's going to be able to potentially pick up some nice position here and fight his way into the top 10 for the first time tonight. The only question that I have is it too little, too late?
Couple more damage updates. Carson McClellan was involved in that wreck, but after getting 4 tires, his car's as good as it's going to be. He received some damage in an earlier wreck today, but no more additional damage from that wreck. Denny Hansen involved in that incident there. They got about a minute of damage, and then his car should be okay. So some minor damage on a couple of cars. They'll be able to continue in the race.
Jake Sturgis will get the free pass here, and that will put him 5 laps behind the pace, I do believe, as he is coming up at a pit road now in the NX number 41, and he will get his lap back. Casey Malone, Josh Berry currently behind the wall, so we can get a couple of laps in under green. Sturgis might, if not finish on the lead lap this evening, Joe, he might come close to it with 5 laps to make up here in the final 20-something laps in this race when we go green. As there goes Jake Sturgis. He gets one of his laps back. He'll be 5 laps behind the pace in position number 32. And they're standing to pick up 2 positions. If Casey Malone and Josh Berry end up staying behind the wall, I say they, because Michael J. Johnson is still on the racetrack as well. 9 laps behind the pace in position 33. Paul Kashiba, Brian Blackford, Alex Warren, and Rich Doucette all out of the event because of either crash damage or some sort of damage to their race car. So it looks like at the minimum we have 31 drivers still on the racetrack, with Malone and Berry scored in 30th and 31st behind the fence right now.
You know, and those wrecks really were an equalizer for a lot of those guys running back in the field, like Peter Bennett, like Josh Lawton, Brian Day, Patrick Baldwin, Adam Gilliland, all needed that little boost to try to give them a little bit better position. And now you see them starting to run now in the top 20. Matt Busa as well in the 34 machine. He's sporting new colors for his new sponsor, Aero Loose Racing, a new racing league here on either IRacing.com sim. So Matt Busa also trying to look to get a top 15 finish tonight and improve his chances of getting the invite next back to the iRacing.com Series World Championship next season.
When you look at the points when it comes to the one drop, and I'm looking back here at Kevin King, Michael J. Johnson, Brad Davies, those are the drivers currently on the inside of that top 20 when you look at the one drop. Then on the outside looking in, 8 points behind Davies, you have Jason Karlavich, you have Chad Lawton, Paul Kashiba, Carson Downs, and Josh Lawton. Carson Downs will have to go through that Pro Series. He's going to be going to college here in the next couple of weeks, so he will not be able to make it into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Through this season, he will be back in the Pro Series, but you look at guys like Chad Lawton, Jason Karlavich, Brad Davies, they really have to start going here in these next few races. Josh Lawton is still in the fray, very much in the fray as well. Andrew Fash, Joey Brown, Danny Hansen. Those guys really have to get up on the wheel in these next few races to try to lock themselves in to the top 20. Going to be a what seemingly long, probably 7 1/4 races left in this season as we are within a quarter distance of calling this race complete. Lap number 78 will be completed when we come back across the stripe this next time by. It'll be John Adams leading Marcus Lindsay, Michael Conti, Ray Alfala, and Brian Schoenberg, your top 5. Can John Adams pick up his second career victory in this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship? We'll find out in just 22 laps. The first Racing Ford Mustang pace car is going to head into the infield here, and John Adams, does he bring him down a little bit quicker this time? Still waiting, and there he goes. Green flag flies.
Green flag flies, and there goes John Adams jamming up around the middle, but Adams doesn't care. He's got a nice boost, and he'll get in front of Marcus Lindsay without any problems. Ray Alfala stuck on the high side. He's battling side by side with Michael Conti right now. They're trying to find out who's going to get third, and it looks like Michael Conti's got the advantage, but don't count out the two-time champion yet. Ray Alfala still side by side through the short chute through 2, and now on the back stretch is 05 behind him, playing both lines, seeing who's faster, and he might throw his weight behind whoever wins that race, and right now winning that race is the 5.
And here comes the 55 of Brian Schoenberg into this battle as well. Do not count him out. The 05 and 2 almost make a little bit of contact. Schoenberg almost throws it into the inside, and indeed he does, off corner number 4. Brian Schoenberg looking to make up a spot. As you look back from the 5 of Mike Conti, you see the 05 and the 55 going at it for position number 5. Ray Alfala has a sigh of relief right now in position number 4 as Ottinger still up the hill, and here comes Brandon Cattell looking to make something happen. A little bit of a block being thrown, and we're lucky that wasn't a caution.
Very lucky that was not a caution. Nick Ottinger holds the position. So the 05 now blocking the 80, and 80's going to give him a little boost to try to get around the 55. Caution out in the field.
34 of Matt Busa around. Oh, heavy contact for Jake Sturgis. The 42 of Dylan Duvall was involved in this one, and Joe, this all started when they were going 3 and 4 wide to avoid everybody. The 34 gets some heavy damage, and the 41 also gets a big lick on this one, but it starts way back there when they got all out of shape.
It looked like it started right around the 11. The 11 got jammed up in 2. Then it starts a chain reaction right around the 54, who gets a shove from Busa in the Aero Loose Chevy SS. Then the 81 and the 42 get behind him. They have problems trying to get around and make contact with him, and that sends the 34 around, and that's going to bring out the caution flag once again for the evening. Matt Busa, the Aero Loose Chevy, gets Aero Loose, no pun intended, and that's going to bring out another caution flag.
John Adams, Marcus Lindsay, Michael Conti, Ray Alfala, Brian Schoenberg, your top 5, as I don't anticipate these drivers to come down onto pit road. But we'll see what happens here, Joe. I think these guys have what they have for the remaining few laps of this race.
So this is really going to change the dynamic of the race here, Nim. This is really going to change the strategy for a lot of these guys. They don't need to come down pit road, so now it's a matter of driver versus driver, and position absolutely counts. As we look down on pit road, the 84 fakes, the 1 fakes, the 5 fake. So top 3 already playing strategy, and part of it surrounds pit road, Nim.
Yeah, you know, there's still a long way to go. They haven't had too many laps on these tires since the last time they pitted. They've only, you know, put maybe a lap or so on the tires. So most guys are gonna stay out, and the tires are still got good rubber on them. They're not been overheated yet, so those tires are still good. Some of the guys in the back, they may gamble a little bit. A lot of the guys that are pitting right now are cars that you saw in this last incident. A couple of heavy hits there, some minor hits, a lot of damage to be repaired on pit road. Andrew Fash, the third, his crew is reporting to me they got 7 minutes of optional damage to fix late in the race here. That's going to be a hard break for them because 7 minutes is a long time, and they might lose a couple of laps with that. But you're right, everybody's going to be staying out. Looks like at the head of the field, and they're set to go to the finish.
Andrew Fayash III is the All-Star Fan Vote winner. He will appear in the iRacing.com World Championship Series All-Star race on Saturday, August 3rd. More information coming down that very, very soon. That will be a broadcast race, which ought to be a very entertaining race, Nim. It's going to be one of the first times where the road World Championship drivers meet with the Oval World Champion drivers, and it's going to be fun watching either take to each other's cars.
Yeah, that will be fun. We had a couple of crossover drivers who raced in both series, so those guys will definitely have the advantage. I know Ray is a pretty good road racer, and a number of these guys can manhandle it and wheel it around the road course too. And then I've received some notes from some road racers that are really looking forward to showing these guys how to get around the oval also. So they're getting very competitive out there. Some rivalries being made, and that should be a real exciting event.
It will be a very exciting event. Again, Saturday, August 3rd. Stay tuned for more information coming on that, on the broadcast of that, coming very soon. iRacing.com, your hub for everything iRacing now and throughout the year. So now, Nim, it becomes about, going back to this race, going back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, this very much becomes a matter of track position and how you're able to position yourself in this group. You know, you have guys like John Adams, who's been able to prove once he gets out front, he's hard to beat out there. Marcus Lindsay, Ray Alfala, Brian Schoenberg, Nick Ottinger, all battling amongst themselves. How hard will it be for those guys to try to get up front and try to charge for the lead?
Well, you know, Indy is a tough place to pass. It's a tough place here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. It's also a tough place, you know, in the Sprint Cup division. So, you know, you come off the corner, you go through the corners, everything's kind of single file. But if a car gets loose or has to check up, even if you have to check up for the guy in front of you, that can cause the train behind you to get a good run, and you see a lot of fanning down the back straightaway or front straightaway, and you see a lot of passing at that point. But it's hard to make up any time through the corners, and what the guys in front, what the guys behind are looking for is some mistakes in front where they can capitalize on them.
All right, but the other question that I have is, if you're your current points leader, Tyler Hudson, you're certainly sitting in 10th, which is a very respectable finish here at Indianapolis. But then you have the 4 guys battling for your position up in front of you. What do you do? What do you do to try to hold them off? I mean, or at least hold off them from getting your points lead?
Well, the first thing you got to do is finish the race and get a good finishing spot. We've seen how these races can end sometimes, where a number of incidents happen because guys are getting a little bit too crazy, and quite frankly, they're worried about those couple extra spots. Like you said, right now, Tyler Hudson's in 10th position. That's pretty good. If he gives up a couple of points to a car that's a few positions in front, well, that's fine, and that's a lot better than trying too hard and just destroying your race. So, you know, there's always next week. We got 8 races to go from here, and this is one of those events where if you can bring home a top 10 finish, you've still got a good finish. But, you know, he's obviously going to try to get as many positions as he can from this point forward, but he's got to do it. He's got to be safe about it, and he's got to be able to bring it home in the top 10.
Absolutely right, but top 10 doesn't necessarily guarantee you the top spot in points, especially if you have each of these talented drivers in front of you trying to make it work, trying to take away your points lead. But it's just kind of the beautiful thing about this sim, about this series. Everybody's in competition every week. It's not about the gear you bring to the track, it's about your talent and ability in driving one of these cars. Pace car lights go off. We are one lap away from going back to green flag racing. We will restart this race on lap 85, giving us plus or minus 15 laps to go before the race is officially over. John Adams will restart on the top spot. Marcus Lindsay second, Michael Conti third, Ray Alfalla fourth, Brian Schoenberg your top 5. Top 10 is Nick Ottinger, Brandon Cattell, Tom Lewandowski, Kevin King, and Tyler Hudson. So at this point, Nim, who's got the most to lose?
Well, the guys with the most to lose are the guys up front in points. As we talked earlier, Tyler Hudson, Nick Ottinger, Ray Alfalla, they got the most to lose. Alfalla's been making a good run back through the field, through some tough races earlier in the season. He has his car up in 4th place right now. We talked about how he's only a couple points out of the lead. So, any one of these guys, your top 3 guys that we talked about earlier in the show tonight, Alfalla, Ottinger, and Hudson, they have the most to lose. And it's not about where they're running right now, the finishing position. It's about getting caught in one of these late race accidents. That's what they want to stay out of. Top 10 finish, they want to still bring home a good finish. They're still right there in contact with each other. If they finish in the top 10, they got to bring it home a good finish tonight. The biggest thing they don't want to do is destroy the car here late in the race.
Field is coming. Sorry, Tim. Field's going around turn number 3. Tim, who do you have as the guy who has most to lose at this point in the race?
To add to Nim's point, you have to believe that Hudson right now more vulnerable than the other 2 involved in this championship hunt. He's sitting in position number 10 and probably more perceptive to a late race wreck with everybody trying to pick up those spots. But we saw at Pocono where we had Robert Hall and we had Ray Alfalla get together for the lead position. It can happen anywhere. First Racing Ford Mustang pace car going to head to the infield here, and John Adams and Marcus Lindsay. Your top 2 here they come. Lap 84 completed. We got 16 to go. Green flag flies, and Adams is gone, trying to pick up his 2nd career victory in the series.
Adams takes off like a bullet out of a rifle. The battle is for 2nd, the 5, the 1, the 2, all jockeying for position down there. Neck and neck into the short chute, now into turn number 2. The 5 has the run as you ride in car with Ray Alfalla in the number 2 machine. Alfalla gets a good run now around Marcus Lindsay. He's going to go low. He's hunting for 2nd, but I don't think he's done hunting there.
I don't think he's done either. The 2 of Ray Alfalla going to pick up position number 3, and he is going to chase down Mike Conti. I think this battle is about to brew between the 55, the 1, the 05, the 80. This is where that bomb is potentially ticking to go off as the 05 is underneath the number 1 as Ottinger, 2nd place in the point standings. Brandon Cattell way to the inside. Ottinger tried to throw the block. He can't do it. Carlo, number 05, the 80. Cattell drives it in hard, and the 05 way up the racetrack. The 1 to the inside, and believe it or not, I don't think they made any contact in that exchange.
No contact in that exchange. Everyone's still running forward. The 05 having trouble, though. He hits the wall hard in front of the 60. The 05 of Nick Ottinger drops like a rock. Now the 4, the 40, the 11, all looking for position on him. He's not be done. Uh-oh, the 80 just got contact with the 01. The 16 now gets sideways. The 16 and 80 both able to save it off the dirt track. Turn in 3. The amazing saves. Now back up front. Adams continues to lead. Conti 2nd, Alfalla 3rd, and here comes Alfalla.
We're 3 wide and back as the 80 throws a block on the 60. Here comes Jason Karlevich to the inside of Cattell. Cattell slams the door on Brian Day as up front Ray Alfalla, Michael Conti battle for position number 2. Joe, there's so many battles in this racetrack, it's hard to keep track of who's where. Brad Davies sticks it in on the 40 of Josh Lawton. That's at position number 12, and Davies way down to the inside.
This is exactly what we predicted, what happened at the end of the race. Everybody battling for a very small amount of real estate, and here they go. Adams up front, Alfalla looking for some help to try to get him up front. Conti, Schoenberg, Lindsay all happy to run in line. Then there's Tyler Hudson, works his way up to 6th. and it looks like everyone has settled in except for this 80 of Brandon Cattell. He wants to get around Jason Karlavich in the 60 machine. Won't get it done this time by, but he does get it done in turn 1. The 4 now trying to dig as well. The 4 is going to get shut down by Karlavich. Karlavich holds on to his position. Brian Day will have to wait a little bit more time in order to get around. Brad Davies also poking his nose out, seeing what he can do, seeing if he can make up some position out there.
Kind of hard to get back into a rhythm, especially when you're in that hornet's nest of cars battling for positions. Brandon Cattell finally finds his footing in position number 9. Nick Ottinger in the 05 has found a spot to ride back ahead of the 3 is Schmidt. That's at position number 14. It gets exciting around here as these guys are pushing and shoving, as the 05 of Ottinger is at it on the 40 of Josh Lawton is just behind them. They were 3 wide going out of corner number 4 with Danny Hansen and the 81 of Adam Gilliland. They're still side by side, not giving each other an inch.
Ray Alpala now 38/100ths of a second away from John Adams, which might as well be a lifetime if you only have 11 laps left to run. Adams continues to lead. Rest of your points leaders settling in at this point. Meanwhile, speaking of points leaders, Nick Ottinger in the 05 machine. He is stuck behind out of that group. He is shuffled out as you ride on his roof right now. He's currently sitting 14th. He's trying to get around the 40. The 40 leading the door cracked open for him. Can Nick Ottinger climb it? Not exactly. He's going to try to duck down low, but he's not going to pick up a position this time around. Time is running out if he wants to try to make that position up.
They may have been a little aggressive on the setup for the 81 of Adam Gilliland. Looks like he's blown a motor here with 10 laps to go as you watch the 4 and the 80. Brian Day. Oh, there's the 60 of Karlavich to the inside of the 4 of Day. The 11 of Brad Davies closing in. We were almost 3 wide. We might still be 3 wide down the back straightaway as the 11 fans to the extreme inside. Day on the outside. Does Karlavich make it 3 wide into corner number 3? He thought about it, pulls the foot out, and he might lose 2 spots here as the 11 of Davies is underneath. Here comes the 40 of Lawton, and we're also looking at the 05 of Nick Ottinger trying to pick up a spot on Jason Karlavich as the 05 being aggressive to the inside of the 40, and the 40 almost got the fence off corner number 4. Ottinger to the inside looking to pick up one more.
It looks like the 40 did make contact with the wall out there as you ride along with the rear bumper. The Abudo Gaming cockpit Chevy of Jason Karlavich. Nick Ottinger picks up the position. He will move up to 13th this time by, and he's trying to get around Jason Karlavich as well to try to make up some of the position that he lost out there. Meanwhile, the 2 of Ray Alfala going back as low as he can, trying to hit the equator and come back around, trying to pick up some time. Not able to pick up a whole lot of time out there. 3,500 still away from John Adams. He's got to figure out what he can do. He needs a Hail Mary, and he needs it fast if he wants to win this race.
Tyler Hudson has made his way up to 6, but he has Kevin King and Tom Lewandowski to his back porch as the 29 to the inside, poking the nose low on the 01 of Hudson, and Hudson might just let him have it here. Hudson will leave Kevin King, position number 6, and now he closes right up on the number 29 of Kevin King, maybe trying to rattle his cage a little bit, and the 29 and 01 nearly makes some contact through the short chute and in to corner number 2, the 16 of Tom Lewandowski to the inside. Lewandowski looking to pick up one here as well, and I'm sure Tyler's thinking championship, but he wants to pick up 2 spots here if he loses this to the 16.
Meanwhile, the 05 Nick Ottinger picks up a position on Jason Karlavich. He will now move up to the 12th place position, and I don't think he's done there yet. He's now starting to dig for the 11 machine. Another car blew up on the field. 01 now in the wall. Tyler Hudson hits the wall hard. He's going to lose position to the 80, to the 4, to the 11, and potentially to the 05. No. Tyler Hudson gets back in line. He has scored 11.
That may have also been the point lead loss when you look at that drop with Tyler Hudson losing those straight positions. He's back to 11th now with Ottinger on his tail. He's going to have to try to hold on for the next 7.5 laps as the 60 and the 05, and you see the block thrown on Ottinger. from the 05 car to the 01 of Tyler Hudson up in front of him. Karlavich runs directly behind this, and I don't think this is over. They almost make a little bit of contact if they didn't in corner number 3. They've got Karlavich to the back bumper, the 05 of Ottinger showing the 01 the business at a corner number 4, this time by 7 laps to go.
Business is picking up down here on the track as the 01 and the 05 do battle out there. They are neck and neck. The 01, I think he knows tonight he might lose his point lead, but he's not going to go down without a proper fight, and you see him dogfighting that 05 machine right now. These guys are neck and neck. The 05 has the advantage once again, and now it's on the backstretch, a drag race, if you will, to see which of these two drivers will pick up the position. The 05 has the advantage on the 01 with the help of the 60 of Karlavich. He will pick up position. Karlavich is going to come around with him to put Hudson down 2 more spots.
Oh, Schmidt in the 3 nearly tossed it in on the 01 of Tyler Hudson. He's going to bump the 01. The 69 of Peter Bennett is also going to close in here as well. Tyler Hudson playing defense in these final 6 laps of this race at Indianapolis, and he's going to have to try to stop the bleeding somehow, playing the defense, trying to make sure these cars don't pass him, and trying to keep what is left of this battle. Here comes John Adams and Ray Alfalla. Alfalla to the outside. Adams throws the block. This is your battle for the lead at Indianapolis, coming down to 5 laps to go. Can Adams hold on for his 2nd career win, or will Alfalla pick up his 2nd win of the season? We'll find out in 5 1/4 laps.
Alfalla dropped the nitrous tanks, use the Schwartz, whatever speed adjective you want to use there. Alfalla picked up 15 hundredths of a second on John Adams, and here he comes again. This time only a car length between the 84 and the 2. Alfalla is knocking on the door. Is John Adams going to let him in? That's the $64,000 question, which will be answered in 4 1/2 laps.
It's more like the $10,000 question, Joe. The 2 of Ray Alfalla racing for a championship this season. John Adams, with missing a couple races, he really has nothing to lose rather than racing for wins this season. So Adams possibly on a different strategy than Ray Alfalla. Alfalla looking at another $10,000 win. John Adams is looking for the checkered flag in 4 laps time. That could very well change the mindset of these two drivers as they battle for the position. The 2 of Alfalla ducks down to the inside. Nothing doing this time down the front straightaway as Adams and Alfalla continue to go at it. It's Conti in position number 3, Schoenberg in 4th, and Marcus Lindsay complete your top 5.
Alfalla lost a lot of time on that lap, at least a car length and maybe some change out there. Alfalla now needs to figure out what he's going to do if he wants to get around him. They are going back and forth out there, and Alfalla does seem to be fast out there. Now he's back to about a car length away, and he's picking up some more speed here. Drew the turn number 3. Can Alfalla do it, though? Will he be able to do it? The 84 may have made contact with the wall. That could open it up for Ray Alfalla. Can Mr. 2-time become Mr. 3-time with tonight's win? Only a handful of races between now and then to find out. At the line, it's only less than 15 hundredths of a second between Adams and Alfalla.
3 laps remaining to settle this. John Adams, Ray Alfalla, your top 2. Should something happen, Michael Conti is closing in the number 5. That last time by, your top 2 slightly quicker than the 5, as here goes the 2 to the inside. Lap car going to come up on this one. Where does Michael J. Johnson go? Michael J. Johnson stays on the racetrack in corner number 3. This could be a factor in this battle for the lead position. Michael J. Johnson goes to the outside, and it looks like there will not be a change there in much of the position. This time by 2 laps to go for John Adams. He's got 2 lengths on the 2 of Ray Alfalla, but look at the run that he gets. Back behind them, Schoenberg makes the move to the inside, and he is trying to block from Lindsay.
These guys need some drafting help, and they need it in a hurry if they're going to try to make a move. In fact, I think Ray Alfalla needs some help because of the tape on his grill becoming very, very, very hot for that engine. it makes it very hard to run in line. If Alfala doesn't cool down by going to the low line, he can blow up his engine and cost him the race. Alfala wants the win, but he may not have the horses to do so. Michael Conti solidly third. Schoenberg Lindsay battling back and forth with fourth and fifth. Meanwhile, it's gonna be Nick Ottinger now up to the 11th place position. Tyler Hudson 14th. White flag flies.
I think if you're Ray Alfala and you have it taped up, you have what you have for the remaining lap of this race. White flag right here. 1 to go for John Adams and Ray Alfala. Does Ray Alfala have anything left for the 84 car? Through the short chute in 1 and 2, the 84 of Adams trying to hold on to this one. Alfala usually gets a run off corner number 2, gets a great run here. Where does he go with it, and can he do anything with Adams down the back straightaway? The final time into corner number 3, this time by Alfala. Will he pitch it in on the 84 of Adams? He stays about a car length behind the 84. Adams will have to play defense here off the final corner and down this front straightaway to hold on for this victory. Up at a corner number 4, does the 2 car get a run off the corner? I don't think he's going to get there, and John Adams will drive to his second career NASCAR IRacing.com Series World Championship victory, this one at Indianapolis. Alfala for second, and Schoenberg will take third over Mike Conti in a photo finish of 4 thousandths of a second between third and fourth.
What a crazy finish between Schoenberg and Conti. Schoenberg makes the most of his run, finishes third. Marcus Lindsay finishes fifth. Nick Ottinger 10th, and Tyler Hudson 14th. Tim, no matter where everything stacks up, I guarantee you this, the points will be shifting tonight.
And if we haven't had a replay already of third place, we got to get one, because Brian Schoenberg ran down Michael Conti at a corner number 4. There was a little bit of a slide from the 5, and that's all it took for the 55 to get to the inside, and Marcus Lindsay made it a 3-wide finish there at the end, but did not have enough steam to get up to the 55 and the 5, and Schoenberg will pick up third over Conti and Marcus Lindsay. Kevin King, Tom Lewandowski, Brandon Cattell, Brad Davies, and look who comes home in 10th. Nick Ottinger. That could be big when we talk about the championship standings. John Adams is a winner for the first time this season, second time in his career. He'll light it up on the yard of bricks, and we will step away for just a few moments' time. We will bring you back with the post-race show with your winner, John Adams, and the rest of your top 5. Don't go away.
Fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.com. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and round number 11 of 18 on the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. You're going to watch the battle for third here coming to the line, and it was an excellent battle. Brian Schoenberg pulling out position number 3 by 3/1000ths of a second over Michael Conti and Marcus Lindsay. We'll talk to those three in just a few moments' time, but it's Nim Cross down on victory lane with a second-time winner in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Nim is with John Adams.
Down here with John Adams, iRacing Bombs John Adams, and the winner in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship here at Indy. John, you won at Indy. Tell us about it.
iRacing Bombs, yeah. That's no more. I'm not much of a liquor drinker. Natty Light, Bud Light, and Budweiser, yeah, that's what I drink, boy, I tell you what. Indianapolis, man, you know, it's one of them tracks that everybody wants to win at, just like at Daytona and Bristol and all that good stuff. And I know last year I had a pretty good car here, but it wasn't as great as what I have this year. All of the guys at Hammer Down Motorsports, Brennan Cattell, Lee Herron, Peter Benton, all of them really put in a lot of time this week, and I helped them out too, but they was the ones that pretty much built the setup and got me where I was, so I like to thank them for that. But second one in DFC, a lot of people said I was a one-win wonder, what do you want to call it, but I just showed them tonight what I got.
John, tell us about the new tire model, or an update was released today that changed the car a little bit here at iRacing, and tell us about how much of a scramble it was and what kind of changes you had to make versus the old car.
Yeah, I ran a couple of Class A races earlier in the week here, and I mean, I was pretty quick. I wasn't as quick as I was tonight. And when the build came out, I logged on about 2 o'clock today to test, and the car handled exactly how I wanted it to. My speeds were faster than what they were before, and so really the build played out in my favor. And I know a lot of guys had a lot of troubles with their setups and saying that it didn't drive the same and it was slow and everything, but it really took to my setup. So yeah, so I'm thankful for the new build, I guess. Thanks, iRacing.
Yeah, it had a point in the race. The key moment in the race had to be that last pit stop where you were on pit road, the yellow flag came out, and the fact that you guys were able to race off pit road while Ray had to do his lap under yellow got you out in the lead. That had to be a key moment for you.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't planning on having a pit stop until I was low on fuel, because usually when I pit before I have to pit, I usually get screwed up. I usually get put back like 20th place because I pit too soon. But my spotter Steven Ozeni told me to pit next time by right after Ray did, and I did. And the caution came out once I got inside of the cones. So that was a great call by him, and that's what pretty much got me out front. I think I could have ran with Ray and Nick if it would have stayed the way, but I don't think I would have actually passed them up. But I think I would have called them at least.
You're not running all the races this year, so you're looking to run the Pro Series come this fall. Tell us about your prospects for the Pro Series and what your plans are for next season.
Yeah, this season I haven't really ran too much. I've been really busy with work. I had a job where I worked third shift, and I just never had enough time to test, and no one was ever on when I was on. So I just pretty much gave up. And now I got a new job and everything, and it works out to my schedule. So I'm going to be racing again. As you can tell, I'm back. But yeah, for the Pro Series, I'm looking forward to it. I wish I didn't have to go back to the Pro, but I think it's going to be really fun.
Loudon, you have coming up in a couple of weeks. Tell us about your prospects for Loudon, and then tell us who makes it happen for you.
Yeah, New Hampshire, I haven't really ever had great luck there, as in speed-wise. But last year I finished 5th there with all the guys back at Willman Inc. So I'm pretty sure me and my boys can actually get a good setup built for that, and we'll see if we can get another top 5 there this year.
Tell us who makes it happen for you, John.
I like to thank all the guys that hammered down, like I said earlier, Peter Bennett, Lee Heron, Brendan Cattell, and everybody else that helps with our setups. This is a new team. We just now created this team about a week ago, so coming home with a win the first week of the team being built, that's pretty impressive. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and of the Pro Series. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Mojo, Portable Spittoons. I know I kind of let them down this season by not racing like I told them I was going to, but hopefully this win settles everything, and we'll get the Mud Jug name out there, and everybody that dips can head on over to mojo.com and get them a Mud Jug like I got. Because I mean, if you're one of the people that spill things like my girlfriend, then you're gonna want to get a Mud Jug. Tim's Corner, thanks Tim, JDR Graphics, Trading Paints, and I like to thank my girlfriend for putting up with me, testing a lot this past week. So thanks to her, and thanks to you guys at PSR TV for making this thing happen for us.
John, tradition here at Indianapolis is a big, tall glass of milk. So make sure you have a big, tall glass of milk for your victory. And we're going to send it over to Joe Cortez, who's caught up his second-place driver, Ray Alfala.
Long live the king. The king is dead. Ray Alfala, who led all laps last year at the same race, finishes second. Ray, what happened there at the end?
Oh, I messed up when I pitted the second time and the yellow came out. I thought I was all set since yellow came out right after I exited pit road, but I made the mistake of going around slowly, so it led John, Michael, and Marcus hit their stop gun and come out in front of me, and I realized it once I was on the front stretch and saw them coming out in turn one. So that was my mistake. I should have just gone fast. But the yellow comes out and you think of just, well, let me slow down and keep my tires cool, and then you don't realize that the other guys pitted and they beat you out. So, but I'm pretty happy though. It was a fun battle there at the end with John, and I was more worried about my temperatures than I was about racing. And started blinking at the last lap, and once the temperatures start blinking, your engine could let go at any minute. So it was pretty risky.
You seem to have a very hot setup, both literally and figuratively, out there. What was causing the temperature problems? Was it too much tape on the front end? And if so, do you think that cost you the win tonight?
Well, you had to run that tape to be competitive, so it was either run that and have to peek out in the straights, or run less tape and not really be very competitive at all. So I got to give it big thanks to Tom Lonowski. He made a great setup this week, and all the guys at J-Show and Drell for all the testing and stuff all week. I thought we were going to get another one there, especially when that yellow came out after exiting pit road, but I overlooked one small little detail there, and it cost us.
Ray, at this point, with the second place finish, if our math is correct, you should be the unofficial points leader. This bodes well for your defense of both your championships out there. At this point, are you looking for championship number 3?
Well, sure. I mean, it feels good to be in contention, and it's definitely possible. So, if I was 10th in points or 15th, I probably would say no, but I'm right there, so no reason to think that three-peat is out of the question. So there's still 7 races left, though, and a lot of stuff can happen. Next race is New Hampshire, and that's short track, so you can get wrecked there real easily. So still quite a long ways to go, but I'm pleased that where I am right now in the points.
Ray, real quick, I want to take back about a month where we saw you testing in the MX-5 down there in Florida. What did you learn in that little experiment, and were you able to take anything from that to the NASCAR IRacing.com Series World Championship?
Well, I don't know if you can take anything from it. Mostly it was just it was very different and very similar. Once you get used to the physical side of it, it becomes sort of like sim racing, but I hadn't driven a manual transmission, so I spent most of the day messing with that. So I'm looking forward to getting more seat time and getting in some sort of race car in the future. So that's always been my goal. So but for now, sim racing will do, and I love racing in this series, and I got to thank iRacing and NASCAR for putting it up, and also PSR TV. You guys do a good job, and we like watching get together after the races and with a bunch of friends, and talk some smack on TeamSpeak after watching the broadcast.
Any other shout-outs you want to give, champ?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of sponsors on my car. There's like 80 sponsors on it. I got Progi Consulting, iRacing Brazil, Gary Mercer Trucking, also DisabledRacers.com. Got to thank the eye holder for holding up my phone during the race. Tim's Corner, Hick and Jix, where you can buy just about everything, and JDR Graphics for painting the car. Also, again, got to thank everybody at Drill Al and J Show, and got to thank the Jew Chief Harrison Whitelets.
Ray Alfalla, your two-time NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Champion, finishing second tonight in the number 2 car. Ray, 2 seems to be a theme for you tonight. Let's hope it doesn't bode the same at New Hampshire, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could probably finish second the rest of the year and win the title. So, but we'll see. Thank you, though.
Well, maybe 2 might be a good omen for you nonetheless. Ray Alfalla finishing second tonight. Tim Terry's got my guy Brian Schoenberg beside him.
Brian Schoenberg comes home in third by 3/1000ths of a second. Brian set up the pass that puts you into third by literally inches at the stripe.
Well, Tim, I was doing something that any driver will never want to admit, but I was guilty of it. I was kind of looking out the mirror, more or less, instead of the windshield, because I saw Marcus Lindsay coming on me really fast. That didn't sound too good. Anyway, though, Michael Conti just hit the apron a little bit, like he hit the curbing in turn 4, and I was able to just sail on by him. We did a little bit of that iRacing side draft and everything, but he made a little mistake, and it was just enough for me to get third. I mean, that would have been really exciting if that was for the win, though. I'd probably have a heart attack if that was for the win, but it was an awesome battle racing. Him and Marcus at the end, especially the last 10 laps, were probably most fun I've had in a while, just being able to have a car that drove well and just being fast, and it was fun.
And looking at this race, it seemed like an up-and-down race with the 55 team. Started in position number 11, worked your way back up. You were involved in a couple of close calls in this race. So third place at the end of it, pretty good for this 55 team, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely take that. If you would have told me before the race I would have finished third, I probably would have, well, I don't know, but I would have been really happy with that, and I am. It's just one of those things. We started the race, and the car was pretty darn good, but Jason Loafing made a couple adjustments on it, and it was the best it was right at the end. And it was fun to have a good car like that. And this whole year's been kind of up and down, Tim. We'll have a couple good races, then something bad will happen. But I mean, it's kind of hard to count Talladega as something bad happening, because I mean, it really doesn't even seem like a race. So if you take Talladega out of it, I've had 2 top 5s in a row, and that's really good for us. But I mean, I just have to thank Tom Lewandowski and Ray Alfalla for making such a great car today. The new build came out, and I was at work all day working on the dairy box, massaging it and everything, and straightening out the labels. And when I got home, they were ready to go, and just, my gosh, thanks to them so much, because just coming into it, having a good car with no practice really means a lot to me, and I can't thank those guys enough.
Now, looking at the point standings, we mentioned off the top of the show that you and Marcus Lindsay, 28 and 33 points behind. Not really looking at a sense of urgency, but it's really a time where you really got to get going with 8 races left to go. Nick Ottinger has some tough luck, finishes in the top 10, barely in the top 10. Tyler Hudson finishes back in 14th. It's going to close you up a little bit to those two, and Ray Alfalla going to get a couple of points on you at the end of this one. What are your championship chances? Where do you think you lie with 7 races to go now?
Wow, that's a good question, Tim. I just, I can't really look at it because it's too depressing, because, I mean, I was in the final wreck at Daytona and Talladega. That's a ton of points right there. Pocono is the one that really hurts, because easily should have finished in the top 5 there and got taken out for no reason. That's the one that kills me. So, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to look at the points, because it just breaks my heart way too much. But it's definitely good for Ray tonight. Glad he got some points there. And I guess you said unofficially he might be the points leader, so that's really good for him. Definitely happy for him.
We head to a racetrack where you could potentially get your first win in 2 weeks' time. I know you love New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Have you, obviously with this new build, I don't think you've done any testing at New Hampshire, but how many laps have you put in at New Hampshire in these last couple of weeks? Anything that we can possibly transfer over and put into victory lane?
Well, to be honest with you, we did practice a little bit when the A Series was there a couple weeks ago, and things were feeling mighty fine. But we'll definitely see what happens with this new build. But New Hampshire is definitely not one of my favorite tracks. It is my favorite track, and it's pretty much probably my best chance to win a race throughout the rest of the year, Tim. But I look at the schedule, and we can honestly run good everywhere, which is a great feeling just because of the association with the drill aisle and all of our guys we have at our shop too. It's a good feeling because I know we'll be good everywhere.
You got some sponsors on your race car, and you got a great team backing you. Who makes it happen for you?
Definitely want to thank Obeto Gaming Cockpits, Obeto Revolution, Main Performance PC, Pro Geek Consulting, JDR Graphics, and just everybody on Drill Aisle, everyone on JSTO. And you know what? I think we'll thank Tim's Corner too, just for the heck of it. How about that, Tim? And the fans.
You can't forget the fans. That's Brian Schoenberg coming home in position number 3. Nim Cross has caught up with his teammate, finishing in position number 4 by only 0.03 of a second. It's Michael Conti.
Michael Conti, your teammate Brian got you there at the end of the race. Tell us about that battle coming off of corner number 4.
Well, it was a battle all day for the main performance PC Chevy. We had a pretty decent car, pretty much the same car that Ray had, so not sure what I'm missing there. I'll have to go back, watch the replay, and figure that out. But those last bunch of cautions set up a pretty good race between myself, Brian, and Marcus. And when I saw Ray and John battling up front, I started looking at them too much, and I wasn't really looking where I was going. And I ended up clipping the curbing just a little bit off 4, and upset the car just enough for Brian to squeak by in the bottom. But I'm fine with it. Brian always treated me well and always raced me with a lot of respect, and there's a lot of mutual respect between us. So for him to get that extra point, that's fine with me. He's closer to the championship anyway, so he could use it more than I can. But it's a good race overall. Maybe a few too many cautions and a little bit of aggressive driving, but overall it wasn't a bad day for us.
Tell us about the update today. Did that change your car? Did you struggle with it, or did it work out for you?
The update was small for the Chevy SS and Ford Fusions. Just a little new tire model tweak, gave us a little bit more available slip up off the corners. That changed the way that we worked the setups just a little bit. And for whatever reason, the weather was changed. We were told that it was going to go to partly cloudy, but we didn't know that it was going to go to 0 wind. From the we used to run 2-mile-an-hour wind to the north. We had no wind, so you hear 2 miles an hour and you think, well, that's not really going to do anything. It really does. 1 and 2 were a little bit grippier, and then 3 and 4 were a lot tighter, just because we didn't have that north wind affecting the way that the car was handling. So we had to adjust to that a little bit, and I didn't adjust enough to it, so I was way too tight at the end of the runs, which just slowed me down a lot. And I tried to make adjustments throughout the race, and they didn't really seem to do anything positive for the handling of the car. So the build really didn't help me very much, but I really don't think it hurt me. 4th place finish either way with a pretty solid car. I can't say that it was a bad day.
Got Loudon coming up here in a couple weeks. What are your prospects for Loudon?
Well, just like Brian said, I think that's the best chance that I have to win a race the rest of the season. I'm sure you're going to see myself and Brian up front. Once again, we've got good cars. We've really dominated all of the short tracks this year. I think I could have had Richmond along with Phoenix if things would have worked out a little bit differently. So we definitely know what we're doing there. We got good base setups. This build really didn't change things too much, like I said, so we won't really have to adjust the setup too much. So we'll be good at Loudon. It'll be a fun race. Hopefully everybody keeps their nose a little bit cleaner than they did tonight, and it'll be a pretty solid race overall.
Tell us who makes it happen for you.
Well, Main Performance PC, primary sponsor the whole season, Mike Main, big time supporter of iRacing, so check out mainperformancepc.com for all types of gaming needs, gaming computers, all that good stuff. The RCRL, a great league on the iRacing service. I take part in one of their series, great to be a part of. At Jeremy Lukaszka, that's his Twitter handle. He likes to get as many followers as he can, so follow at Jeremy Lukaszka. JDR Graphics, CB Photography, the Bethwood, and everybody at J-Show and Drill Aisle, especially Tom Lewandowski, week in and week out. He helps us with setups a lot, and without him, myself, Brian, and everybody else wouldn't run as well as we do, so I got to thank him. And thank PSR TV for the broadcast, and 2 weeks' time we'll be at Loudon, and we'll have to see how we do.
There you have it from your 4th place finisher, Michael Conti. We're going to throw it upstairs to Joe Cortez, who's caught up with your 5th place finisher, Marcus Lindsay.
What Marcus Lindsay is doing upstairs is beyond me, but here we are upstairs. 5th place finisher, Marcus Lindsay. Marcus, you start out 9th. How hard was it clawing your way 4 positions up when everything was said and done?
It was really tough to pass. I think we shined long run after about 15, and we got a little tight at the end after about 25. But anything after about 10 laps, we were fast. I think if I wouldn't have messed up the final restart, we had a shot to win the race. Brian had about a 1.1 second gap on me in the final 10 laps, and we drove up to him. It's just hard to pass. Someone's got to mess up for you to get by him, and if you don't make the pass successfully up off the corner, you're probably going to get taken 3 wide from the car behind, especially with how close. About the top 10, we're all really close in speed. We did pretty well at the start. We got passed on the initial start, and I think faded to like 11th or 12th. And then I drove up to about 6th or 7th before the caution started to affect it, the first one right after pit stop started.
I want to get to the question of racing quality and the difficulty in passing in a moment, but let's talk about restarts for a second. We saw 7 different restarts out here on this field. How critical were they in determining where you ended up during the green flag run?
Oh, yeah, they were huge. If you got stuck on the outside, you didn't get restart and you couldn't get clear, and especially without being able to switch lanes, you'll easily lose 2, maybe 3 spots with how this field stacks up. If everyone single files up behind you and you're still on the outside, it's possible to lose at least 3 spots. I think we restarted 2nd at the end, and I think we ended up about 6th before we went 3 wide, and me and Cattell got together, and that's what put us as far back as we were. I definitely think we should have ran better than that. I think I drove a better race than that, but just too many cautions put us in bad spots.
You mentioned earlier about the quality of racing and just how difficult it was to pass. What made it the hardest to pass? Was it the way these cars were set up? Was it the quality of the track? What made this a difficult track to pass on?
I think you fight handling a lot. Connie mentioned something that we fought too, but we didn't really connect it with. We all tested with default iRacing weather, which runs 2 wind to the north, is what it's supposed to be. And then we hopped in a DWC session, and we instantly saw it was 0 mile an hour. And he said he was tight in 3 and 4, and we fought the same thing in both qualifying and race. We were tighter on entry. And I think that threw us off because we spend so much time over the week perfecting the set. And then you get 10 minutes away from the race, and it's not what you expect. And if we ran with dynamic weather every week and dynamic track conditions, we'd fight that, and everybody would not run the blazing pace where everyone's so close in the top 10. And then you throw that in a little bit, and if you're a couple hundredths off, that's huge. I mean, the top 10, the first run, was separated by a couple seconds. And you can't use draft to make passes because we all ran 50 tape with whatever gear, and you can't use draft to get a run. So you have to duck out instantly to not overheat. So you have to entirely get a run up off the corner and make the pass. And the track's so wide they can block you all the way to the grass if they want and prevent you from doing that. It's entirely as defensive as it is offensive.
Tonight you came in 5th in points with a 5th place finish here at Indianapolis. You keep your championship hopes alive. What's the strategy at this point? What's it going to take for you to be walking away with a very big check at the end of the season?
Survival, some luck. Luckily, both the plate tracks, which I absolutely hate, are out of the way because you really can't control your destiny there. We had average like a 35th place, 30th place finish at the plate tracks. And Richmond, we had bad luck. We ran top 5 the whole race and then got destroyed for no reason really on a restart late in the race and finished 35th. And you just lose too many points with that. You have to have luck. I felt like I drove this season, I think, way better than I did last season. My consistency is greatly improved, but it doesn't matter when you get cautions. Everyone gets caught back up, and they decide to go 3 wide on corner entry and run each other over. So, as much as people like to say you create your own destiny and your own luck, it's only so true when you get cautions before you get fuel stops and everyone gets bunched back up, and they all try and attack on the restarts, which, I mean, yeah, that's what they should do, but we shouldn't be killing each other constantly within the first 2 laps of a restart.
Marcus, who makes it work for you and the team?
First, I'll thank the sponsors, Michael Main Performance PC, and his affiliation with the Butto Cockpits. And he's releasing the new Main Performance PC sim pedals. I think everybody should go check them out. It's a great alternative. They're going to be very top-tier pedals. I think they're going to look nice. I think they'll make great top-tier spring-loaded pedals, load cell pedals. HVMP, High Voltage Media Productions, with Dylan Livingood and Case Brinksma. They've been an associate sponsorship all year. Lane Sim Products and Chris Crosby Chassis. I know Chris Crosby works with another team, but he's a nice guy, likes to help me out. So all them financially and with support make it happen. And of course, teammates are huge in this series. So Kevin King got 6th tonight. Not quite here to interview, but he did a great job. He was just as fast as us. Richard Doucette, Chad Lawton, Josh Lawton, Jason Karlavage, every one of them for helping out throughout the 2 weeks. We've worked really hard over the past week and a half to get to where we were, and it showed. I think we had a set that could have won the race. So, and Nick Gertson spotted for me, did a great job, prevented me from, I'm sure, wrecking on numerous occasions.
Marcus Lindsay, driver of the number 1 machine, finishing 5th here tonight at Indianapolis. Tim Terry, take us home.
2 weeks' time, we head to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for round number 12 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Will we see another first-time winner, or will we see the points once again get closer as they already have, and it continues to twist and turn throughout this 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship season? If you need more information on this series, wcs.iracing.com for all your information on not only this, but the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That's wcs.iracing.com. So for everybody here, Paul Johnson, Zach Stanko, Ilka Happala, Ian Bushing, Chuck Johnson, Matt Racing Kid Thomas, Nim Cross, Joe Cortez, Tony Stevens, who's at the summer shootout. My name is Tim Terry, saying we'll see you in 2 weeks' time when we say let's go racing from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.